October 29th when he was arrested on charges of unlawful intercourse with a student who he admitted to police he knew was 15, according to court documents cited by KGET. The girl is the one who alerted school authorities about the relationship via email, and after his arrest, Fabian was fired. The documents also state that 2 sexual encounters happened in the school parking lot in his vehicle. Why the power was out near Mohawk Street. That happened before 6 this morning when an 18-wheeler ran off the road and mowed down 2 power poles. That knocked the lights out, according to PG&E, and it's the damage that they are fixing that will keep the road closed most of the day between Walker Trail and Rosedale Highway. Police do not believe the driver of the truck was under the influence. California lawmakers have a choice to make, and neither one would be an easy thing to do. Either decrease the amount of money that's being spent or find a way to put more money into the state's accounts. Lawmakers will begin hearings in about a month on the state's financial difficulties. The state will be behind about $18 billion this year, and the projection says the state will be behind $35 billion each year through the end of the 2020s. You may not have seen it, but the people marching Monday from the Liberty Bell downtown to the Arts Council of Kern were marching to remember the people who have died from AIDS and all of the people who are still living with either AIDS or HIV. Monday was World AIDS Day, and quilts were also on display to keep the memory of people who have died alive. Gas is up just a little bit. The state average is now $4.53 per gallon, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bada bing, you blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hi, everybody, and a very pleasant good afternoon to you, wherever you may be, however you may be listening, or however you may be viewing. For those subscribing on YouTube, it's the Ralph Bailey on News Talk 96.1 and live at KERNradio.com. Chris Burdick is producing the show on the second day of December, even though I have 11/2/25 on the rundown. Did I put that, Lisa? Did I put that on the YouTube? Did I put 11/2? That's what I have on my rundown. Can you see, Chris? Did I put 11/2? I have no sense. Did I really?
I have no idea. Yeah, give me a second. No, you're good. 12/2.
12/2? Okay, good.
12/2.
All right, very good. We are in December. The countdown is absolutely on. In fact, I did some shopping last night.
Oh.
I'm not going to give the boy. I found some unique things I'm going to give the boy. I was just going to give him some dough. Just going to give him like $200. And I might do that as well. But I saw some things that he might like. Some clothing. He's into hats. He's into weird hats. So I'm not going to tell you what I bought him. Y'all are going to bag on me. I bought him something kind of silly. Just something kind of stupid. And then I bought him like a really nice sweater. Maroon and white sweater. No, maybe he'll transfer to Morehouse College. What do I know? We got a busy show this afternoon. Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth were the focus of the 9th and final cabinet meeting of the year by the president, and everybody covered it, particularly when it came to Hegseth. They go around the room. They begin with, who does he always start with? I can't remember who he starts with, but they go around the room. Each one of the was 3 hours long, and now the media is trying to say that he fell asleep. Like, that's a big deal. They're trying to spin that narrative. There was a New York Times article over the holidays that questioned, because he recently had a physical, and his physicians say he's in perfect health, cardiovascularly, pulmonary, just everything. And he took a test. He took not an IQ test. He took a acuity test, and says he aced it, of course. And they're trying to spin that he's not quite up to snuff. And it's like, really? That is astonishing to me, given the fact that we all witnessed a presidential breakdown, the likes of which we've never seen. Dwight Eisenhower was particularly old at the end of the 50s, and there were some questions about his health. He'd had a heart attack while in office. And of course, we all remember the end of Ronald Reagan's presidency, where in just a matter of years, he would have Alzheimer's. And Nancy would sometimes, there's a famous video you older folks I'm sure remember, where they're at a distance from the press. They ask Ronald Reagan a question, and Nancy goes, "Tell him you're fine." And he says, "I'm fine." And of course, that went viral. What the hell's going on? And so they're now trying to twist this on Trump. And it's like, really? After Joe Biden ran from the media, this man holds, like, I was thinking in a 3-hour meeting, I might fall asleep. Chris might fall asleep. Are you kidding? In a 3-hour meeting where you're just going around a room and listening to these guys suck up to you? I don't know. But that's not the news of the meeting. We'll unpack that in just a second. Teresa Goldner, if you follow her on Instagram, you know she's in New York City enjoying her Brooklyn Heights apartment. She and her husband recently purchased, and she's been sending pics back there and proudly announced that she took the subway to Coney Island by herself. I called her clinically insane, but it is what it is. I mean, I just, man, and I didn't want to scare her, you know, and bring up the Charlotte incident. Or the Chicago, was it Chicago, where the guy set her on fire? Not that I'm doing, you know, I hope she's not listening. But I'm just saying, I don't know if I'd get on a subway by myself in this era. I really don't. But she proudly did, all the way to Coney Island. What she's doing, going to Coney Island, unless you're going to getting a hot dog. Yeah, what do they call them? Conies?
Yeah, Coney.
Are they called conies? Yeah. Unless you're getting a dog, I guess. I don't know. We'll talk with her at 3:30. And we've got another case of domestic violence that turns to murder. Manuel Robles is accused of killing his wife in front of his children. We'll talk with Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network tomorrow, but I'll give you some facts on that. The Del Oro assistant band leader appeared in court, so we have more information on that situation where he's alleged to have had sex with a young student, age 15. And there's a special election going on in Tennessee as we speak, which could have huge ramifications. The district, the 7th district in Nashville, that Donald Trump carried by 22 points, but Republicans are nervous. Matt Van Epps is the Republican candidate who should win, and I predict will win, but he's being challenged by this woman, by Abtine Bean, or Ben, B-E-H-N, who has at one point declared herself the AOC of the South, and in her past has said some horrible things about police, about country music, about Nashville itself, and is yet challenging Epps in a district again that went 61-38 Trump. Please stand by. Don't go anywhere. We got plenty of time. Let me see how this is good. This is outstanding. We have more guests tomorrow. So we'll delve into that. And we've got some audio that we pulled from our interview yesterday with Chad Bianco. If you did not hear us talk with the Riverside County Sheriff, you can go to YouTube and watch the entire interview. Donnie Youngblood, our sheriff, joined in as well. We've got some bites from both of those men. And it is a day of giving at KGET Channel 17. It is their annual Children's Miracle Network, the Miracle on 34th Street, alluding to Memorial Hospital, where the Lawrence Small Children's Center is located, and has absolutely flipped pediatric care here in Kern County over the last 3 decades. It is an enormous event that KGET does every year. They've raised some $12 million in over about 3 decades. And if you have an opportunity, I would strongly urge you to call 336-0500 and give something, anything. Everything counts. Everything puts forward pediatric care in this community and keeping the pediatric care in this community. One of the issues with our children's health is the lack of a true children's hospital in a community this size. And what they have done is just amended or added on to Memorial Hospital with a PEDS unit, a NIC unit. This year, they're in fact constructing a surgical unit, a pediatric surgical unit. And this is all due to the help of the small family. Kevin and his wife lost their daughter, Lauren, at a very young age. I believe she was 11 years old, to cancer. It was a long struggle. They traveled all over the world looking for solutions. And she ultimately succumbed to cancer. But they have dedicated millions of dollars into this effort. And like I say, really, really have flipped the script on pediatric care in this community. And whenever I talk about this, I tell the story of Sue Benham, who had just left the city council. And I was at Buckley Radio, and I was railing about how insane it was that a city, ninth largest city in California, didn't have a true pediatric hospital. One of my father's first assignments was the Children's Hospital in Hollywood. And I remember vividly because there's a Fat Burger right next door. But I couldn't understand that we didn't have a children's hospital. And instead of calling the show and trying to embarrass me or haranguing me or sending me an ugly letter or something, she took me to lunch. And she just kind of broke down all that was going on at Memorial and all the small family had done to improve pediatric care and trying to prevent us, those of you who have children and have serious issues, and you know what the issue is, and that is many times you have to take these children to Madeira, you have to take them to Los Angeles, to UCLA or SC or wherever, and through the help of the Lawrence Small Children's Center and the family, it's not rare, but it's not as often as it once was, where many of the issues that we once could not handle are being taken care of here in this community. And it's a lot because of the work of the small family, Kevin and his lovely wife. So again, if you can give to the Children's Miracle Network today, the number down at KGT 336-0500, or excuse me, you can text KGET 34984, KGET 34984. Let's go ahead and take our first break of the day, get this thing started. When we come back, we'll get through the 3-hour cabinet meeting in which Donald Trump, as he said on Air Force One yesterday, had no idea of a second hit on a Venezuelan boat, killing 2 survivors, according to the Washington Post. Now, the defense secretary, Pete Hegseth, says, oh, I didn't know anything about it. Yeah, I said I watched it, and then I left the room. You'll hear from Pete Hegseth and the president. Then at the bottom of the hour, off to New York City with Teresa Goldner. We've got some sad local news. We'll get into the Tennessee congressional race. You'll hear from perhaps and I'll read an article or parts of an article from the Los Angeles Times where one of their political insiders is saying it's not impossible, it's not probable, but it's not impossible that 2 Republicans could be on the general ticket. That there are so many Democrats vying for the governor's seat that they could all wash each other out, all get about 18 to 20% of the vote, and then have Chad Bianco, who we had on the show yesterday, and who you'll hear coming up in the 5, and Steve Hilton to say get 25 apiece. And have them both on the ticket, guaranteeing us a Republican governor. You got to believe, baby. You got to believe. 44% of the state is completely undecided. You've got to assume that a lot of that vote is going to be split among Katie Porter, Eric Swalwell, Tony Thurman, Xavier Becerra. Rick Caruso hasn't even announced yet. I mean, there are 8, 9, maybe 10 Democrats. This thing could work out, Jack. You'll hear from the Riverside Sheriff coming up in 5. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday, 2nd day of December, right here on News Talk 96.1, AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1.
Mass Baker's right here.
On the next Armstrong and Getty show, your weight loss drugs that are so hot are changing the economy in all sorts of ways, not just food. Plus, cell phone for a kid younger than 12, don't do it. Somebody put out a list called the 100 best TV episodes of the century. We'll have the top 10 and some clips. Won't that be fun? It'll be lots of fun. On the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Is it me, or does it seem like it's been weeks since we talked with our good friend Daniel Petrie from Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors? I know I was gone one Thursday, and then, of course, Thanksgiving. So it literally has been. So it'll be fun to talk with him, get his thoughts on what Jerome Powell is going to do with just days left in the year. Are interest rates going to go down once again, as Daniel and most economists predicted? We'll talk with Daniel Thursday at 4:30, as we do each and every week normally. And again, you know what Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors are all about. They're all about retirement. And if you're thinking about it, call Daniel at 395-9400, 395-9400. His office is located on the corner of 21st and Oak. Daniel Petrie and the folks at Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors.
This broadcast is for informational purposes only. Does not constitute a solicitation or offer to buy or sell any security, future, option, or other financial instrument, or to offer or provide any investment advisory or other services to any person in any jurisdiction by Daniel Petrie or MPWA Inc., DBA Messmaker and Petrie Wealth Advisors. Any views expressed in this broadcast by us are prepared based upon the information available to us at the time, and we are under no obligation to update our views.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Vance Furtado.
Hi, my name is Vance Furtado, and I saw Paul Sheldon's advertising, and my wife and I were going to need to begin Medicare very soon, and we thought he would be a great guy to talk to. And we were not disappointed. He and his staff were excellent. They provided much needed guidance for us, and we would recommend Paul Sheldon and his agency to anyone desiring help when it comes to figuring out the confusing world of Medicare. Medicare can be so terribly confusing. That's why my wife and I were so glad that we went to Paul Sheldon. He and his staff were incredibly helpful to us. So I would recommend Paul and his agency to anyone. Thank you, Paul, for all the help that you provided, giving us an excellent sense and direction of how best to satisfy our needs when it comes to Medicare.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298. My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted survival food company, wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As our gift to you, we've got an amazing deal on survival food kits. Buy one, gift two. That's right. For a limited time, when you grab our best-selling 4-week emergency food kit, we'll include 2 one-week kits free to hand out as gifts. That's 4 weeks of emergency food for you, and 2 ready-to-give gifts for anyone on your list who's into preparedness, or anyone who needs a nudge in that direction. But they're only available for a limited time. Grab yours at mypatriotsupply.com and give the gift of food security this Christmas. With 2,000 calories per day, 16 delicious meal and snack varieties, and up to 25-year shelf life, it's no wonder our 4-week food kit is the best-selling emergency food supply of all time. But the buy one, gift two Christmas special won't last long. So claim yours now at mypatriotsupply.com. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I saw some video this weekend of Michael when he was about, I don't know, he couldn't have been more than 12. You know, you forget just how young Michael Jackson was when he got started. and how consistent. I mean, what if his voice, what if he'd gone through the Peter Brady and his voice cracked and changed at like 13, 14? You know, but he always had that high-pitched voice, kind of stayed with him throughout his entire career. What he died in his 50s, something like that. 842-5376, our phone number, 842-KERN. So I got a bunch of audio I got to get to because this was an interesting, fascinating cabinet. Okay, I just went deaf. Just totally went deaf. I'm pretty sure I defecated on myself. It scared the crap out of me. What is that? Why do I hear audio? I don't hear you, but I hear something else.
Sorry, that's my fault.
What the hell's going on?
No, that one was Michael. I forgot to turn Michael off real quick. I was trying to.
Oh, you were trying to throw a little Michael in there?
No, I was queuing up your audio that we were about to get to, and I forgot to turn Michael off.
Oh, okay, very good. So both the president and the defense secretary, they say they knew nothing about the second strike. If you don't know what I'm talking about, which I find ridiculously hard to believe, they've killed about 80 people, drug dealers. I don't have a problem with that. They've sunk 22 boats. Don't have a problem with that. Go, Defense Department, go. But the fact of the matter is, it is against international law. It is against who we are to murder not victims, but criminals who have surrendered. Now, you get mad at me for attacking Trump's cabinet, but are you telling me that you are in favor of killing innocent, well, not innocent people, but people that are non-combatants? That's not who we are. I was trying to come up with the name yesterday. It was William Calais, who I was thinking of in Vietnam, who got sent to prison for that as a military man, for killing women and children, innocent non-combatants. It's just who we are, and it's not what we do. And again, you can get mad at me if you want, but is that what you're saying? That you're in favor of that? That if we take out a boat and there are survivors swimming in the ocean, that we should take another torpedo and kill them as well? Well, they're all putting this on Mitchell Bradley. Here first is the president. Let's go with number 2. Here is Donald Trump in the cabinet meeting.
As far as the attack is concerned, I still haven't gotten a lot of information because I rely on Pete. But to me, it was an attack. It wasn't 1 strike, 2 strikes, 3 strikes. Somebody asked me a question about the second strike. I didn't know about the second strike. I didn't know anything about people. I wasn't involved in it. I knew they took out a boat. But I would say this, they had a strike. I hear the gentleman that was in charge of that is extraordinary. He's an extraordinary person. I'll let Pete speak about him, but Pete was satisfied. Pete didn't know about second attack having to do with 2 people, and I guess Pete would have to speak to it.
All right, well, here is the defense secretary who claimed he didn't see the entire strike. He left the room.
I did not personally see survivors, but I stand, because the thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war. This is what you in the press don't understand. You sit in your air-conditioned offices or up on Capitol Hill and you nitpick and you plant fake stories in the Washington Post about kill everybody, phrases on anonymous sources not based in anything, not based in any truth at all. And then you want to throw out really irresponsible terms about American heroes, about the judgment that they made. I wrote a whole book on this topic because of what politicians and the press does to warfighters. President Trump has empowered commanders to do what is necessary, which is dark and difficult things in the dead of night on behalf of the American people. We support them, and we will stop the poisoning of the American people.
One thing I will hand it to Hexeth. At least he's supporting Bradley. At the very same time, he's throwing him under the bus. Because how is he saying he didn't see it, and you're making up stories and bloop, 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 and this and that, and this and that. Here's more from a man, I'm sorry, I just believe is way over his head and incompetent.
I wish everybody could be in the room watching our professionals like Mitch Bradley, Admiral Mitch Bradley, and others at JSOC and SOCOM and other commanders. The deliberative process, the detail, the rigorous, the intel, the legal, the evidence-based way that we're able to, with sources and methods that we can't reveal here, that make sure that every one of those drug boats is tied to a designated terrorist organization. We know who's on it, what they're doing, what they're carrying. All these white bales are not Christmas gifts from Santa. This is drugs running on motor fast boats or submarines that we've also struck. No one's fishing on a submarine. And I have empowered them to make that call. Now, the first couple of strikes, as any leader would want, you want to own that responsibility. So I said, I'm going to be the one to make the call after getting all the information and make sure it's the right strike. That was September 2nd. There's a lot of intelligence that goes into that, building that case and understanding that, a lot of people providing information. I watched that first strike live. As you can imagine, at the Department of War, we got a lot of things to do. So I didn't stick around for the hour and 2 hours, whatever, where all the sensitive site exploitation digitally occurs. So I moved on to my next meeting. A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had which he had the complete authority to do. And by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat. He sunk the boat,
Okay.
and eliminated.
Then why bring up Bradley? If this is a Trump Hexit operation and you support what Bradley did, then why bring him up? I made the call. I didn't see it, but I made the call. It's my responsibility. Quick timeout. We're off to New York. Teresa Goldner joins us next.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. Talks between Russia and the U.S. on ending the four-year war in Ukraine were productive, but much work remains. Yuri Ushakov, a senior advisor to President Putin, spoke to reporters on Wednesday after a lengthy session at the Kremlin. Putin met President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner as part of a renewed push by the Trump administration to broker a peace deal. Federal authorities are preparing an immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota focusing on Somali immigrants living unlawfully in the U.S. The operation, which could begin soon, targets people in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area with final deportation orders. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 185 points. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The man who was shot and killed in an incident with the California Highway Patrol on Highway 99 early Monday was in violation of a restraining order and was after his girlfriend, say police reports. He showed up at the Wasco police station where the girlfriend had gone to get away from him before the pursuit that ended with his death. When California lawmakers get back to Sacramento after their break in January, they will immediately start work on how to try and fix the state's financial problems. That includes an $18 billion deficit for the coming year and a $35 billion deficit for several years after. You may be able to serve the community. Bakersfield is looking to fill several positions on boards, committees, and commissions, and that info is on the city Facebook page. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour of when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at radiodirect.com/privacy. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Text help for help. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications that are all over the news, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie, and if you qualify, you can get medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1s at 80 to 90% savings without insurance, all 100% online.
Wait, I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No long wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide and tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, for 80 to 90% less and shipped direct to your door.
Amazing. How do I get started?
Just send them a text.
Text SLIM to 797979 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic for 80 to 90% less, 100% online. Don't wait. Text SLIM to 797979 right now for your exclusive offer. Text SLIM to 797979. That's SLIM to 797979.
These statements and products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for weight loss.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare
Nobody
plan
in the chat
you
room.
can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low...
It's on. It says you got about 13 people watching right now.
I'm sorry, 18. But you're right. This is new. Like, normally we have people in the chat room. I wonder why not happening today.
Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
It's the JR Show.
So it looks like Prop 50 is going to pass. That's fine. I respect the process. I might not agree with the outcome, but I at least respect the process. The problem is Democrats still have to win elections next year. They couldn't flip Valadeo's seat, and that district has been Democrat for a long time. So this isn't over. They might have won Prop 50, but they still need voter turnout, which is a problem for them, and they still need to win congressional races.
The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's a Tuesday, and we are off to New York City, in particular Brooklyn Heights. That's where we find our former federal magistrate, Judge Teresa Goldner. How are you, Judge?
I'm doing great, Ralph. How are you doing?
I am outstanding. What's the weather like in the Big Apple?
You know what? It has been raining all day today. Seriously, from the morning until, as I speak, it's pouring down. Well, not pouring down now, but it was pouring down earlier today.
Yeah, it's a pretty big storm.
There you go.
Pretty big storm moving through that area.
Well, I decided that I'd never been to Coney Island before, so today I decided that I would go to Coney Island and just see it.
In the rain.
In the rain.
On the subway.
I did. I took the subway to Coney Island. Can you believe that?
No.
No. You know what?
That's so unsafe.
No, you know what? It wasn't. It wasn't. There was hardly anybody on the subway. I wasn't scared at all. Thought it was fine.
Okay.
It's all good.
Did you get a hot dog out of Coney? Did you get a Coney out at Coney Island?
You know, all that stuff was shut down. The only thing that was really open was the restaurants on the other side of the street from where everything is.
Yeah.
So you couldn't really get a lot of stuff. But I always wanted to see Coney Island because I've heard about it a lot, and there are some contracts cases in law school that we learn and that I teach that involve people and torts cases that involve people that have gotten injured on rides at Coney Island, way back when Coney Island Amusement Park first started. And so I always wanted to see it. I wanted to kind of get the feeling for it, but it's not quite as, I don't know what the word is, impressive as I would have thought
or
that it was.
Glamorous?
Just because glamorous, that's the right word.
Yeah,
Maybe because it was raining.
No, it's a dump. It always has been. I mean, it's a big attraction.
Yeah.
But it's a dump.
You really think it's a dump? Oh,
a little bit, just a little bit. That's what I remember. I was out there in the late 60s, and I remember thinking this was kind of a rundown. I thought that the roller coaster was kind of crookedy and something that I didn't really want to get on. And I don't know. That was damn near 50 years ago.
The Cyclone has lost its
yes.
LONE. Now it's just a psych. The letters are missing from it. So
that's funny. That was pretty good.
Rehab.
That was pretty good. Other than that, have you done anything dramatic since we last spoke?
No, I did go to see that play that we talked about.
Yeah. How was that?
Wow, it was so good. Oh my gosh, it was fantastic. And they call him. I think it's an English cast, and so they pronounce it Oedipus. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Oedipus?
No, I've never heard it pronounced Oedipus.
But it was a great show. It was kind of a modernized version of the Oedipus story based on someone who was a politician, and they were waiting to get election returns that night. And then through the course of all of this stuff that happens and conversations that occur while they're waiting for election results, he discovers that, in fact, he was married to his mother. And the mother didn't realize that she was married to her son. And in the end, it had the same outcome as the original play.
He gouges out his eyes?
He gouges out his eyes. And actually, in this play, she goes back into another room and she kills herself. She kills herself in the head.
That's exactly. Well, she didn't shoot herself, but that's exactly how it ends, as I remember. Having read it, I think, in 11th grade, I think is when I read it.
Yeah, but you were absolutely right. It's all about fate.
Yeah, destiny.
Our fate is what it is, and we can't change it.
No, as much as you try. That's the whole point. He purposely tried to change his destiny, and in doing so, walked directly into it, which is a great lesson. Just live your life and let the chips fall where they may.
That's true.
You know,
in this particular case, he didn't try to change it because he didn't know about it until really it was too late to change anything, or even to try to. But
see, now I thought
a little bit different.
I thought in the original Oedipus, he knew about it, and that's why he left the community that he left, thinking he was leaving his original mother and father, and then he moved to another city to get away from them, and that happened to be the city where his biological parents actually lived, unbeknownst to him, and he kills the king and marries the queen, and then finds out that, in fact, that's his mother and father that he just killed and married.
Right, you are absolutely right, and that's the difference between the play and the original story. Is the protagonist in the play doesn't know, Oedipus in the current play doesn't know ahead of time, what his future is going to be. He only finds it out that night.
Why would you have to mess with Oedipus? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's only lasted for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. That's why we call them classics. Do you really have to mess with that? Really? I don't know.
I guess they're trying to make it relevant.
I guess.
Interesting.
I guess.
It was really good. I would see it again. I really would.
Really?
People got really emotional in this play. And I also found out that if you are even, let's see, this play was at theater, they call it Studio 54, where it used to be a nightclub a long time ago.
Yes, a very famous nightclub. Yes.
Well, now it's a studio, now it's a theater, and this is one of the ones where if you are even 10 seconds late, they do not let you in.
Good. I like that.
They close the doors, you're out. We made it by the skin of our teeth. I'll just say that.
They should do that at Dodger Stadium.
You think so?
Not in by first pitch. You can't come in.
Oh,
no. They should. It should be third inning. If you're not there by the third inning, your seats are gone and people can move up. That's what I believe.
You think it should just be like free seating after the third inning?
That's right. If you blew them off, then go for it. But it would be
that's
chaos.
Funny.
Yeah.
Also, if you have to go to the bathroom during the play, if you leave the room at all, you don't get back in again.
Good. I like that.
At Dodger Stadium?
I don't know if you can do that. I don't think with all the beer you could do that at Dodger Stadium. No.
That'd be a little tough, I think.
That would be tough. I'm very, very cognizant of that. Like I always wait in between pitches and sometimes even between innings to like go through the aisle. I think it's rude in the middle of a play to walk through the aisle. I think that's absolutely rude.
I think it is.
But that's just me. What do I know?
I think you're right. I agree with you on that.
We got a hot topic this week. Our man, Luigi Mangione, is in court fighting to keep evidence out. And I don't think he has a chance in hell. And that's why I was so excited to talk to you about it. Because I just think that there's no way in hell a judge is going to dismiss the evidence because they didn't have a warrant. Wasn't it the responsibility of any police officer who is in chase of a suspected killer to pat them down and to search everything on them to make sure they don't have a weapon or a bomb? Or didn't they have a responsibility of the people in McDonald's where he was captured?
Well,
to search him?
I think so, but this hearing that they're having is in Manhattan. It's on the other side of the riverfront. I can look over there and see where the courthouse is.
I'm surprised you're not. I'm shocked you're not sitting in the courtroom.
I know I should have been. If I had known about it ahead of time, I would have skipped
Coney Island.
Coney Island and gone over there and been a first-person reporter.
I believe it. I believe it.
That would have been fun. So here's the deal on this one. It's very interesting. It really, it always depends on the facts. And this was one where they got a tip. The Pennsylvania police got a tip. I think it's Altoona, Pennsylvania.
Altoona, PA. That's right.
Right. From somebody who was called 911.
One of the customers told the McDonald's manager who called the dispatch. I almost got the audio, but they had it in pieces. And they called the police and said, several of our customers, despite the fact that he has a mask on, believes that Luigi Mangione is sitting here. They can tell by his eyebrows, and they're very, very disturbed. And we really need some cops out here. And obviously they descended rather quickly to the Altoona police.
So they go to the place and they talk to him, and they talk to him. It sounds like they talk to him kind of very low key for the first 6 minutes. It sounds like it's not, really wasn't that much of an interrogation for the first 6 minutes. And then it changes. And then it did change dramatically. They first started talking to him. I think they have it down to the second, the way they had the hearing done today. And they said that they first started talking to him at 9:29 in the morning. And from 9:29 to 9:35, they were just asking sort of general questions. And so at that point, it probably was what we refer to as investigative. It's part of an investigation. And that part, you don't have to even Mirandize somebody. You only have to Mirandize somebody under the law once they are in custody, once it's changed from investigatory to custodial. And that's the big issue here in this case as far as his statements. That's one category of things that they're trying to suppress, is the statements that he made to the officers, because they talked to him for about 20 minutes before they Mirandized him.
Right. And that's what I said to you in our text this morning. I said, I don't think they're going to throw out what they found in the backpack, but I do think they have an issue with not Mirandizing him.
I agree with you there. And I agree with you I think the first 6 minutes is clean, but I think the last the last 13 minutes, they might have a problem with some of it, I think, because the facts really changed I think after the first 6 minutes. They ended up frisking him. They found a knife under his clothing. That's when they ended up, all the officers kind of swooped in, and they went from just a few officers around him to a whole bunch of them. I think there were at least 10 officers that were surrounding him and blocking the exits to the McDonald's. So clearly he couldn't, get up and leave. They also took his backpack and put it out of his reach so that he couldn't grab it. And that's where the gun and all that other stuff was in it. So it really, I think the circumstances changed at that point, and it became custodial. So the question is going to be, what did he say? What did he say during those last 13, 14 minutes to them before they actually Mirandized him, after all of that? What we do know is that they got the backpack. And so you have the problem with the issue with the backpack search. I agree with you, because I think that there's a very strong argument to be made, and I think it's a winning argument on behalf of the prosecution, that once they have the backpack, the backpack was made, they grabbed it, they seized it incident to an arrest. And it's totally legal to do a search incident to a valid arrest. So that's one theory that they have, that they can say, and everything in the backpack stays in.
Right.
And then there's a lot of other theories too. For example, you can do an inventory search. When you to look at an inventory around what's around you when you stop somebody and you arrest them, of course. And then you can also, there's something called the doctrine of inevitable discovery in criminal law, which means that if it's something that you would have got anyway through lawful means, the court is not going to exclude it from evidence. And here, they would have gotten all of the things that are in the backpack eventually, because they did get a warrant later that evening and that later in the day. And so that warrant would have given them an opportunity to search the backpack. So I think the backpack is going to be just fine.
And all the contents in it, including the notes where he said someone should whack the CEO and other incriminating writings.
Yeah. The way I looked at it, I kind of read a bunch of things this afternoon, and what I saw was there were really kind of 9 different categories of things that they're trying to exclude. The first one, of course, are the statements that he made to the officers, before they Mirandized him. And then the second one was they see inside the backpack, they found a loaded gun magazine. They found a handgun, a 3D printed handgun. I think it was I forget what size it was. They found a silencer. They found his red notebook that contained his personal writings. I think they call that a manifesto.
Yeah.
That's what the police are calling it.
Mm-hmm.
They also found some other writings that are kind of related to what was in the notebook, so they want to have those too. And then the other things they found were a computer chip in the backpack. They found an iPhone. They also searched the iPhone. Believe it or not, they got the iPhone, and then they also got a flash drive that was in the backpack. So there's a lot of different things that are in there, but I actually think that they're all going to come in.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
For all those reasons that we talked about. I think that I don't really think it's that hard of a call for the judge to make either. But I do think that there's real issues, though, about whether he was in custody at some point, during the interrogation. And I really do think he is.
Yeah.
He was. So, it kind of just to explain to the listeners, if you want me to, Miranda kicks in. There has to be two conditions before somebody has to be Mirandized. The first one is the suspect has to be in custody. And what does it mean for somebody to be in custody? It means a reasonable person in the same position as that person would not feel free to leave. And that's always going to depend on the facts. It's not it's an objective test. It's not subjective. It's not based on what did the officers think? Did they think, oh, sure, he could leave?
Is it synonymous with being detained?
Yes, similar.
Okay.
Yes. Well, yeah. If you're detained, are you free to leave? If you're free to leave, then
but you're not necessarily under arrest.
Right. But if you feel that you cannot leave, and a reasonable person feels that you cannot leave, then you are considered to be in custody.
Okay.
Under the Constitution. And so that's the issue. So you have to look at, that's the first thing. And then the other thing is you have to be being interrogated. And so you have to be in custody and you have to be interrogated. And that includes not only just having direct questions, but also, sometimes words or actions by law enforcement that might be reasonably likely to elicit a response. That can also be considered an interrogation.
Right.
But the cases, the constitutional law cases that talk about Miranda, they list, it's really interesting, kind of 6 different factors that you have to consider when you consider whether or not somebody is in custody. And I could go through them really fast. I think I would be very curious what you think about each one of them. It'd take me 2 seconds.
Go right ahead. Both Chris and I studied this in comm law, did we not, Chris? The communications department at Cal State. It was an Arizona case, correct?
Yeah, Miranda. Did you take comm law?
You have to take comm law in the communications department.
Very good. Okay, you ready? So here's the 6 categories, and you tell me, if you're the judge, what would you think? Or Chris can chime in here too. The first one is you have to look at the location and the environment where the questioning is happening. Is it in a police station? Is it in an isolated room? Is it in an unfamiliar setting? Here, where was it? It was in the public portion of a McDonald's.
Right.
So I think that part kind of says, no, he was not in custody.
Right. Was he at what? Let me interrupt you. I'm sorry. At what point was he under arrest?
When they arrested him.
Was that in the McDonald's?
Yes, they arrested him in the McDonald's after they found the fake ID. They arrested him.
Okay.
They arrested him, put him in handcuffs, and he was
taken away.
Then.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They had him then. So the second thing that you have to look at is duration and intensity of the questioning. So if it's some kind of like a little brief kind of routine questioning like you get when you're stopped by on the road when you're driving, if you have a traffic stop, that's not considered what you need there to be in custody. But if it's something that is repeated questioning or kind of prolonged detention or kind of escalating pressure, that can also turn it into a custodial situation.
Yeah, isn't there a time limit?
Not necessarily.
I thought it was 15 minutes, something like that.
No.
Okay.
It all depends on, and it's kind of crazy. It all depends on the circumstances.
Okay.
And so I think that one kind of tends to lead maybe towards custodial, because here they got more and more aggressive with him. And then the next one is presence of restraint. And what that means is he in handcuffs? Does law enforcement have their weapons drawn on him? Have they blocked the exits? Are they kind of physically controlling where he is? Here, he wasn't in handcuffs. He was actually eating, I think, potatoes or something like that, hash browns.
Yeah, hash browns. There's video of him wiping his mouth very calmly, sitting in the corner by himself.
Right, just not, he was acting like a homeless person.
Not a care in the world.
Right.
Just shot a man in the back and just as comfortable in his skin as he could be.
It's amazing, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely amazing. The whole case. The thousands that stood outside the courtroom, the $1.5 million that people have given him, the 6,000 letters of support that he's received. It's like, where are we? What's going on in this country that people are heralding a killer,
Celebrity criminals,
a cowardly killer who shot a man in the back? And they used to hang you by a tree if you would do something cowardly like that.
Well, his day will come, Ralph. You know, it just takes time. You have to go through the process.
So you don't think
motion is just part of the process? But let me finish my thing.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay?
Go ahead.
So he wasn't restrained until, you know, they swooped in on him with the 10 police officers. And so that one really doesn't tend to show that he was in custody, at least until the 10 police officers surrounded him. And then the next one is the number of officers and coercion, same thing. You know, it was really just him talking to two people there for a while. And then there's a category called individual characteristics, and it's things like the person's age, you know, especially if somebody's a juvenile or if they're kind of in a agitated mental state or whatever their mental state is that might suggest that, might influence whether a reasonable person would feel free to leave or not. Here, he was nervous. I think he was shaking. His fingers were shaking. His hands were shaking, but there wasn't anything to indicate that he was kind of mentally incapacitated in any kind of a way. And then the last category is the purpose and the communication. And what that means is if the officers tell the person that they're not under arrest and they're free to leave, fine. But at some point, if they're really not free to leave and the officers are deceptive with them, that's something that the court can take into consideration too. But here, I think clearly, once they found the knife, and once they found the knife on his person, and once they found he gave him a fake ID, which gave him probable cause to arrest him in the first place, which triggers the search of the backpack, I think, in addition to the other things, I think everything else comes in.
Yeah, good.
That's the way I look at it.
Good.
Do you think he was in custody based on those 9 factors? Or you think it's kind of a wobbler?
I think he was in custody. Don't you? No?
Well, I think he was after the first 6 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, generally he wasn't, because they didn't come in, you know, guns toting and pointing guns at him and tell him get up against the wall or anything like that. They calmly spoke to him, recognized him, realized, from what I understand, well, the police officer said they recognized him immediately when he took off his mask. And I think they acted appropriately. Yep. They obviously had to pat him down because you can't put him in the squad car with a knife in his pocket.
Right. There's all kinds of reasons why it's okay for the things in the backpack to come in, I think.
I do too. I screamed and yelled yesterday. There ain't no way in hell a judge is going to tell cops when they approach a wanted murderer that they've got to turn around and go to a judge and get a warrant to look up what he's holding. That's ridiculous.
Well, especially when you're talking about, you know, the murder weapon is in the backpack.
Yes.
You know, those are pretty significant items of evidence. My understanding after reading about this is that the judge has been pretty much following the prosecution on this. I mean, has been sustaining all of the prosecution's objections and overruling the defense's objections to this. And so I think that the reason, I mean, they're making this motion, the defense counsel is, they kind of have to. I think they're doing it for appellate reasons to preserve the record, to give him a basis on appeal if he gets convicted.
Right.
You know, I think that's primarily the reason. You know, they might get some of those statements thrown out, but it's certainly not it's going to weaken, I think, the prosecution's case a little bit, but it's not going to destroy their case, and it's not going to mean that they can't move forward with it or that they won't get a conviction.
Right. I'll leave you.
In the end, I don't think it makes that much difference.
I'll leave you with this, because I know the answer technically is no, of course not, Ralph, but we're all human beings. Does the fact that we've all watched him do it and the news media has physically followed his trail from his home to New York City, the fact that there's overwhelming evidence, does that impact a judge's decision?
Well, No, it's not supposed to.
Oh, I knew that technically, but I mean, we're human beings and we all watched him shoot him.
No, judges have to set aside all that stuff and be objective. So I'm going to say no, Ralph, on that one. And it's just
Not
like
even
doctors could be, just like a doctor can be objective when he's operating on somebody. You know, judges are supposed to be objective too. But here you brought up the news media.
Yeah.
The news media and the coverage of this has played a big part in these suppression hearings because they're saying that the media coverage is part of what gave the officers probable cause to go in and see him and talk to him and ask him the questions that they asked him.
Oh, Lord.
So
my dad gum up the works?
No, I don't think so. They're just arguing that that's just more probable cause for them to do what they did, meaning to arrest him in the first place.
The coverage has been god-awful. I read a New York Post story yesterday where they finally got to the case in like the third paragraph. The first two paragraphs talking about what he was wearing and the reaction of the crowd. And I mean, they're playing up to this nonsense.
I know. He comes from a wealthy family too, doesn't he?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Very wealthy family.
Well, I'm sorry I couldn't go to the hearing today. You're on the scene reporter.
That's all right. Are you kidding me? You're in New York City.
That would have been fun, though. I would have loved that. Oh, my God.
I know. I'm shocked you weren't there. Enjoy the city. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much, Ralph.
All right,
Bye,
take
Chris.
care.
This is AM 1180 KERN. Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM. Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. President Trump is threatening to conduct land strikes against drug traffickers in foreign countries. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
Even as Congress scrutinizes the legality of the Pentagon's attacks on suspected drug boats near Venezuela, the president says the U.S. military will soon expand its counter-narcotics mission.
We're going to start doing those strikes on land, too. You know, the land is much easier. And we know the routes they take. We know everything about them.
Last weekend, the president warned that Venezuela's airspace should be considered closed in its entirety. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Today is the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, which has grown into a global movement to inspire people to donate to charity on what's being called Giving Tuesday. One organization benefiting today is the nonprofit Prison Fellowship Ministry, whose Angel Tree Christmas program is being supported by Salem Radio Network host and CNN political commentator Scott Jennings.
The earlier your donation is made, the sooner the Angel Tree volunteers can line up all the details and bless another child who, through no fault of their own, will not be with mom or dad on Christmas.
Anyone wishing to bless a boy or girl whose parent is in prison on this Giving Tuesday can make a donation in any amount on the website scottjenningsshow.com. Talks between Russia and the U.S. on ending the nearly 4-year war in Ukraine were productive, but much work needs to be done. Yuri Ushakov, a senior advisor to President Vladimir Putin, spoke to reporters on Wednesday after a lengthy session at the Kremlin. Putin met President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 185 points. The Nasdaq rose 137. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
Every day I speak with people who are worried and are feeling a lot of pressure because of credit card debt. That's why I'm very proud of what we do at Trinity. We just help. We give people the support they need, along with a real plan to become debt-free. Credit card bills are consolidated into a single monthly payment that is much less than what they were paying before. Most of our members end up saving thousands and even may improve their credit scores by as much as 200 points. I know from the bottom of my heart that I'm making a difference in the lives of the people we help. It just makes me really happy.
If credit card debt has you down, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Julie, and I'm a Trinity counselor. Call me and become debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
He's pleaded not guilty, but the crimes are well documented. I'm Chris Davis. That's Salvador Fabian, the man who was an assistant band coach at Del Oro High School before October 29th when he was arrested on charges of unlawful intercourse with a student who he admitted to police he knew was 15, according to court documents cited by KGET. The girl is the one who alerted school authorities about the relationship via email, and after his arrest, Fabian was fired. The documents also state that 2 sexual encounters happened in the school parking lot in his vehicle. Why the power was out near Mohawk Street. That happened before 6 this morning when an 18-wheeler ran off the road and mowed down 2 power poles. That knocked the lights out, according to PG&E, and it's the damage that they are fixing that will keep the road closed most of the day between Walker Trail and Rosedale Highway. Police do not believe the driver of the truck was under the influence. California lawmakers have a choice to make, and neither one would be an easy thing to do. Either decrease the amount of money that's being spent or find a way to put more money into the state's accounts. Lawmakers will begin hearings in about a month on the state's financial difficulties. The state will be behind about $18 billion this year, and a projection says the state will be behind $35 billion each year through the end of the 2020s. You may not have seen it, but the people marching Monday from the Liberty Bell downtown to the Arts Council of Kern were marching to remember the people who have died from AIDS and all of the people who are still living with either AIDS or HIV. Monday was World AIDS Day, and quilts were also on display to keep the memory of people who have died alive. Gas is up just a little bit. The state average is now $4.53 per gallon, says Gas Buddy. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Hour 2 of the broadcast on this second day of December. It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN, where we stream live at kernradio.com. I want to thank Teresa Goldner taking time out on her vacation to contact us. We still got lots to do coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We've got some local stuff we'll get to. I've got more on Pete Hegseth and the president. Not sure if we got to all that audio. And let's see, did I send Mr. Burdick anything late last night? Don't even tell me, Chris. I'll just take a little check, a peek here. And no, all I see is Lane Kiffin and Jasmine Crockett. We didn't get to Jasmine yesterday. I could always play that. Always, man, she is just, I love Jasmine Crockett. Hope she never goes away. I really do. She's so much fun. And she's just so ridiculous. Do you have that? Let's just play that for fun.
Give me 1 second. I gotta pull it.
Yeah, this is, she was on, I can't, Oliver Mack. That can't be right. It's a female she's being interviewed by. But just her pure, she really believes that she's intelligent. And she must be. She got through law school, college graduate, et cetera, et cetera. But there are so many smart people that don't realize how stupid they are and think that they're so smart that they can talk their way out of things. And being stupid, the more they talk, the more they illustrate just how dumb they are. And Miss Crockett is the poster child. There should be a statue of Miss Crockett for just gobbledygook and lack of logic and pure common sense. Here is our local cartoon character Jasmine Crockett out of the great state of Texas.
Little bit of news last week when you mistakenly accused Lee Zeldin and another Republican. I didn't accepting money from Jeffrey Epstein, but it was a different Jeffrey Epstein according to the financial records. Do you want to? I don't want to give you the opportunity to amend that. And
I have no amendments. When I was on the floor, for those that don't know how it works, basically they decided to bring this privilege motion up, and they decided that they wanted to kick Stacey off of her committees because Stacey had received Stacey Plaskett because she had received a donation from Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay, stop right there. That's a lie. That's an irrefutable fabrication. They did not want to kick Stacey Plaskett off the committee because she took money from Jeffrey Epstein. That would be absolutely against the law. You can't tell somebody who to take money from. You can take money from a felon. It doesn't look too good. It's not going to go over very well in your next campaign. There's nothing wrong with her taking money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's a complete lie. That's not why they wanted to kick her off the committee. You all know why they wanted to kick her off the committee. They wanted to kick her off the committee because when they were interrogating Michael Cohen in a committee hearing, she was sitting on the phone texting Jeffrey Epstein. And what was Epstein doing? He was absolutely coaching her right through the hearing. Remember when he wrote Rona in capital letters, and Plaskett goes, is that, did I really say goes like the kids and use go as a verb to talk? She says or asks, is that an acronym? Because he put Rona in all caps. And he goes, no. God dang it, I keep doing it. He says, no, that's his aide who was in the next room. And she says, hurry up, I'm up next. That's why they wanted her off the committee, not because she took money from him, although she did, because if that were the case, Hakeem Jeffries wouldn't be the House Minority Leader, because we know that he reached out to Epstein after his conviction and asked for money. So that is a complete and total lie by Jasmine Crockett. Go right ahead.
Plaskett because she had received a donation from Jeffrey Epstein. I had maybe 20 minutes. We researched the FEC, and because I like to speak with specificity, that's kind of what comes with being an attorney. I made clear that there was a Jeffrey Epstein. They knew on the other side that I did not have time to actually pull up and actually research.
Is that it? Oh, I had the whole thing. I should have played it. Well, she's just ridiculous that I only had 20 minutes. So that just absolves you of any responsibility? Well, I only had a day, teacher, to research my term paper. So if there are facts in it, I'm sorry. That's the, what are you talking about? If you don't have it, you don't have it. Do you know how many times in just my little career, I've come up against a deadline and I know I've got the story, but I only have one source. And the editors are like, deadline is at 7 o'clock, Ralph. We can hold it maybe till 8. But if you don't come up with a second source, we're not running with this thing with one source. And you can't come up with somebody else to corroborate it. And you just got to hang on to it. You can't tell your editor, well, I only have an hour, so let's just run it. Oh, okay. We'll just run it irresponsibly. And for her to say that she wasn't trying to mislead people, are you kidding me? This woman should be run out of Congress. Absolutely run out of Congress. 842-5376, 842-KER. Anything on the board? I'll get to Mr. Robles after the break.
This first one says, being in the military, I remember clearly others included the rules of engagement. It's a matter of time before Congress gets their hands on these rules and the chips will fall as they should.
I have spoken to veterans, in particular Jeremy Stott, who told me nightmares about the rules of engagement. I think they should be altered. Jeremy would tell me stories about how a truck would be approaching and they don't know whether it's got bombs, they don't know what's going on with it, and they would be instructed to fire into the motor and then into the tires anything but into the carriage or into the driver's section of the truck. They're insane, but they exist. And you cannot fire on unarmed combatants. That's just the way it is. That's who we are. Unless you want to change the way we are, so where we just start mowing down people. Now, again, if you're confused by this and you're like, oh, Ralph, shut up. Come on, it's war. I said the same thing yesterday. I said one of the most confusing things that I've ever had to battle in my head philosophically is this idea of rules of war. What? We dropped an atomic bomb and killed about 100,000 people in about a minute. And then when they wouldn't succumb, when they wouldn't lay down their arms, a couple of days later, we did it again. So don't tell me about the rules of war. Do you know how many innocent people died in World War II throughout Germany and Russia and London and Paris and all throughout Europe? Are you kidding? Rules of war? Do you know how we got into the war? It's been in all the newspapers, all the history books. There were thousands of Navy men either asleep or having breakfast in Hawaii, and this country called Japan secretly destroyed the USS Arizona and about 1,500, 2,000 men. Rules of war. So I get the confusion, and I get, really, are we going to nitpick about 2 Venezuelan drug dealers gunned down in the middle of the ocean? It's not even about that. It's about Pete Hegseth. Just the manner, you heard the audio, just the manner in which he addressed the media. Oh, you all sit in your ivory towers and criticize the military, and I'm an ex-military man, and this is what we got to do. Then why did you bring up Bradley in the first place? Why even mention the commander if it's through you? If you're the guy that has to answer the call, if you're the head of the Department of Defense or War, whatever the hell you want to call it, if you're the man in the Pentagon, then why even bring up the commander? Why is Mitchell Bradley a household name today? And suddenly, the guy who was in charge left the room. You really believe that? You really believe that? That all of a sudden, Pete Hegseth has no knowledge of it. Now, again, as I said earlier, I will concede and commend him for at least having Bradley's back, at least supporting the man's decision. But they still walked away from him. If there is an investigation and someone to blame, inevitably it will be Admiral Bradley. Because according to the Secretary of Defense, when they did this, he wasn't even in the room. Now, let's be honest. Come on, be honest for just a second. Do you really think an admiral made the call to whack these 2 guys floating around the ocean? Do you really? You really think that's what he did, huh? I'd love to hear from Navy folks. I would love to hear from naval officers, from veterans. You really think he made that call? And that the 2 sources that the Washington Post have that claim that Hegseth said kill them all are completely making that up. They're completely lying. These career naval intelligence people have made up a story to what? Destroy Hegseth? Just doesn't make sense, folks. Just doesn't make sense. And Hegseth left the room. What do you say in the audio? I have a lot of things to do with the Pentagon. I had to leave the room. Come on, y'all. Come on, man. That's like the kid with chocolate all over his face saying, I didn't eat the cookies, mommy. I left the room, if you ask me. There are about 5 competent people in this cabinet. Beeson, McMahon in education. I'll throw in crazy Kristi Noem. She's crazy as a bedbug shooting up dogs, but she's competent. She's strong. A little weird, but I don't mind that. Who else is competent? Witkoff, Burgum, Marco Rubio. But the rest of them, Bondi, Hegseth, Worm Boy Kennedy, Kash Patel, who apparently has been flying around with his girlfriend on the FBI plane. Have you heard about that? Went on a golf trip with his buddies in the FBI plane. Dude, that's not your plane. That ain't your plane. Sorry, it's just a bunch of incompetent, over their head, don't belong there knuckleheads that continue to get this administration into trouble. And it's like, I have a problem with Dave Roberts. And I had a problem with, who's the left fielder I had a problem with all year? Mark.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank myself.
The left fielder. Come on, starts with a C, his last name. Conforto. Michael Conforto. Or Tanner Scott. Does that make me a Dodger hater? Really? I can't criticize the president's cabinet and not still support the president? If you can't identify the problems and you're just going to shove it, cover it up, we're going to lose the midterms. We're going to lose the House. We're going to lose the Senate. They're going to drop the filibuster. They're going to make a state out of Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico. There'll be 15 judges on the court. They will flip America. This will be a new world in 29. I'm just saying. Let's go and take a quick break. Come right back. We'll get into some local stuff. A 37-year-old man is under arrest in another Hansel and Gretel domestic violence case. In other words, this guy left a trail of crumbs that he was going to be violent. That is, once again, shocking. We'll talk with Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network tomorrow. Salvador Fabian was in court yesterday, so we know more about his liaison with a 15-year-old girl. And if you haven't heard about the court documents, this guy's a piece of work. This 26-year-old assistant band leader. Big election going on. What is it, 7:20 in Nashville, Tennessee? So they probably got about 40 minutes left, I'm guessing. Yeah, Nashville's on East Coast time. They're not Central. They've got about 40 minutes left in a special election where Donald Trump won that district by 22 points, but Republicans are sweating it. It's going to be much, much closer than that, but I predict the Republican will win. And then coming up at the 5, you'll hear parts of our interview from yesterday with Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, the leading gubernatorial candidate, and an LA Times story today that's saying there's a possibility that he and Steve Hilton, with the long list of Democrats kind of canceling each other out, Steve Hilton and Chad Bianco, the two Republicans, could end up being the two top vote getters, guaranteeing us a Republican governor. Wouldn't that be something? It's the Ralph Bailey Show on a Tuesday. 23 days to go. Good googly moogly. It's TRBS on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, first of all, no Dr. Dev, because fun fact, he's in Africa. We will have John Cox from the California. We will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, and we're streaming live on a worldwide website, kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Agape Air. You know, when the air just isn't right, call the team that gets it done right. That's Agape Air, keeping homes comfortable for 18 years, locally owned and always professional. And who knows better than I? They serve my complex. From smart thermostat help to service requests, repairs, replacements, and preventative maintenance, Agape Air is prompt, knowledgeable, and delivers quality you can trust. Don't sweat it. Call Agape Air at 661-399-6600 today.
Agape Air. Comfort you can feel, service you can trust.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at radiodirect.com/privacy. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Text help for help. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing? You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications that are all over the news, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie, and if you qualify, you can get medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1s at 80 to 90% savings without insurance, all 100% online.
Wait, I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No long wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide and tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, for 80 to 90% less and shipped direct to your door.
Amazing. How do I get started?
To 797979 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active Wegovy or Ozempic for 80 to 90% less, 100% online. Don't wait. Text SLIM to 797979 right now for your exclusive offer. Text SLIM to 797979. That's SLIM to 797979.
These statements and products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for weight loss.
Hey, get in. What? Who are you? I'm future you. Constipation with belly pain still coming back? Yeah. Mia, our doctor figured it out. She said it's irritable bowel syndrome with constipation, or IBS-C, and this could help you get ahead of it.
Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, and swelling. Talk to your doctor and say yes to Linzess. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
For over 50 years, Hard Rock has been where the music lives. Artists play our stages. Their stories line our walls, and guests walk away feeling like stars. We're a global icon built on one timeless ideal: love all, serve all. Introducing Hard Rock Casino to Home. Over 2,000 of the hottest slots, over 60 thrilling table games, and the energy only we can deliver. The sound check is over. Now open. Concerned about your gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER, 426-2537.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180.
It's one of the most important parts of a band. 842-537-6842 KERN. What do you got?
Ralph, what's the deal with the nice children's hospital that was built on Stockdale Highway? That thing is a ghost town from the day it was built.
I was unaware that they built a children's hospital. I don't believe we did build an exclusive children's hospital. I think that was the whole point of what they've done at Memorial, that they've added wings and made a hospital within a hospital. I don't know what the progress is on the pediatric surgical unit. I know that was a big project that they had that we're raising money for, but they've got a NIC unit and a PEDS unit, and some of the stories that you hear from the Children's Miracle Network, and it's so incredibly aptly named because there are so many miracles. I mean, I remember there were stories of a child that fell into they had an outdoor barbecue, one of those ground barbecues, almost like a fireplace round thing where you can sit around a fire and whatnot.
Fire pit, yeah.
Fire pit, exactly. And the little girl fell into it, was badly burned, and they were able to deal with her here as opposed again to going to Madeira or LA, and just so many incredible miracles. A baby born like 6 months, 5 months, and she survived. And these are stories that 20, 25 years ago, particularly here, these children may not have survived. So it's been miraculous. I don't know anything about any ever exclusive children's facilities here in Bakersfield. That's what I told the story about Sue Benham when I was complaining about that, because I found that amazing. This is when I first got into radio in the late 90s. And that's when a lot of the work that's going on at Memorial began. And that's why the Children's Miracle Network, which again, if you're just joining us, is going on today, all day until about 6:30 this evening at KGET. And you can call 336-0500 to help contribute, or just text KGET 34984. KGET 34984. And it really is a worthy cause. And again, the work that the Small family, Kevin and his wife, have done in the name of their late daughter, Lauren, who succumbed to cancer around 11 or 12 years after about a year or two battle. Just amazing, absolutely amazing. The millions of dollars that family has contributed to help put our pediatric care up on its feet, the $12 million that they've raised with this day of giving once a year at this time. Simply amazing, absolutely amazing. Not really, given our community and how giving and magnanimous we are as a community. It's the single finest thing about living here, that we are our brother's keeper. We truly are. Heading into the back half of the 4 o'clock hour, we'll talk a little local news, some horrible stories about domestic violence turning into murder.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. A man accused of shooting 2 National Guard troops near the White House has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and assault charges. Romeo Laconwall made his initial court appearance by video from a hospital bed for charges stemming from the November 26th shooting that killed Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and wounded Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf.
Hey, Siri.
Federal authorities are preparing an immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota, focusing on Somali immigrants living unlawfully in the U.S. The operation, which could begin soon, targets people in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area with final deportation orders. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 185 points, the Nasdaq rose 137, the S&P advanced 16. More at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
I'm Chris Davis. Mohawk Street between Walker Trail and Rosedale Highway will be closed for most of the day so PG&E can fix the damage caused this morning when a semi-truck ran off the road and hit 2 power poles. That incident was responsible for a power outage in that area early this morning. Former Del Oro High School assistant band teacher Salvador Fabian will be in court again next week on charges he had a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old student.
Straight
Court
up
documents
from Atlanta
indicate police believe 2 of
Nashville.
the encounters happened in his car on school property.
That's weird.
The new mayor of Delano is Councilmember Salvador Solorio Ruiz, elected last night by the city council. The mayor pro tem is Mario Nunez. Each will serve for 1 year. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Meet Paul Sheldon's client, Norma Diaz, owner of La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream.
Hi, I'm Norma Diaz from La Rosa Fruit Bars and Ice Cream, and I'm a client and friend of Paul Sheldon.
I've known Paul for many, many years, and my parents happened to be his first clients. So, of course, I called Paul and immediately felt this peace come over me, knowing that I didn't have to freak out about making a big decision. His knowledge about Medicare and your health insurance needs are beyond compare, and I was taken care of immediately by his wonderful staff. He knew everything that I needed and what I wouldn't need, so I was pretty much in and out of there in record time. If you're getting to that age where you're going to be needing to know about Medicare, then he's the one to call. He will totally help you out and get you pointed in the right direction. You're going to leave there feeling a great accomplishment and no concerns. And even if you have questions later, his staff can help you out. Those feelings are just priceless to me. So call Paul. You'll be glad you did.
When Medicare matters, our team has the answers. Team Paul Sheldon.
398-2298.
Wednesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show will break down the absolute latest on everything surrounding Venezuela as tension appears to grow there. Plus, Buck.
Taking a look at the administration's focus on immigration going into the end of the year. A lot of talk, a lot of policy. That's coming up on Clay and Buck.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
Nashville's only 2
the
hours
Clay
ahead.
Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9
Yeah,
to
I
noon.
didn't know that either.
Now back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180. KERN.
I got to get a space heater in here. It's dying.
I had one, or I didn't have one. I should say that. We had one in there. I thought.
Wasn't that back in the Bean days? Or did
Oh, I
Bean
thought it
have
was
or
more
did Bean have the
recent than that.
fan?
Oh, Bean definitely had one too, but I thought this is more recent than that.
It's freezing in here. It's these windows. It's absolutely these windows. God, I hate being cold. I hate being cold. I eat my dinner with, I look like my grandfather with not only my blanket, now I have the comforter over. What do you think the temperature is when I walk in my house? Because I turn the heat off. I turn the heat off right as I'm going to sleep.
Okay.
And then I turn it on as I start moving in the morning. Because the first hour.
It stays on all day?
No. I
Okay,
stopped doing that.
So you turn it off when you leave.
I turn it off when I leave the house. So what temperature do you think it is when I walk in the door?
67.
Oh, I wish. I wouldn't even turn the heat on if it was.
It's
No,
colder
it's like
than that,
62 degrees.
Oh, wow, you get colder than I do then.
Yeah, it's
Mine gets
62.
about 65.
Yeah, I'm about 62 degrees. Like on a day like today, when I walk in, it'll be 62 degrees.
Yeesh.
So I put it on 68. I turn it on, and I sit in front of the television with my blanket and my comforter over my lap, like my grandfather used to watch television. And I used to laugh and be like, God, you're so old. And he was probably my age when I was like 7, 8, 9, 10, you know? And I just feel so old. And then when I'm done with dinner, I used to like go, you know, and sit in the living room sometimes and watch the 65 or just sit up against my wall and watch television. I am under the covers by 7 o'clock, watching television like this with the heat on at 68 degrees. And then finally over the weekend, I pumped it up to like 70. I just cannot handle cold. That's why the clubs, I just can't play in this, you know, even if it's in the 60s, that's cold. It's just uncomfortable to drive around in that kind of weather. That's what I always say. The hardest part is driving around in the car. 842-5376, 842-KERN. So if you've been following the news, you've seen these two cases we're going to talk about. 37-year-old Manuel Robles is in custody. He was in court yesterday for killing his wife, allegedly, in front of his children. In front of his children. And like I said, we're going to be talking with Lauren Skidmore, the executive director of the Open Door Network, tomorrow. But the thing that I don't understand is this guy left a trail so wide and so clear that there's just no help for women in these situations. There's none. There were multiple incidents of the police coming to the home. A. B. Neighbors saw them go at it often. In fact, one of the neighbors saw them out in their driveway going at it just days before the murder. 3, neighbors saw him bringing in rifles and guns on more than one occasion. And KGT 17 interviewed a neighbor, who saw Robles allegedly take a hammer and bash out the windows of his car. And 17 had the picture of it. A really nice car. I wanted to say that it was a Tesla, but you know how cars are shaped these days. It literally could have been a Hyundai. I couldn't tell the nature of the car, but the point I was trying to make by saying that is this was a fairly affluent neighborhood and a fairly affluent family. Big old boat in the driveway. You know, this wasn't like Cottonwood. This wasn't in the ghetto. This was in a pretty nice Northwest neighborhood. And this was a fairly, I don't know if I'd use the word affluent, but upper middle class family. Happened on, Tallulah Falls Court in the Northwest. And like I said, this guy, at minimum, can't we agree we can't get legislation that if the police are called to your home, let's say 3 times, it should be twice, but let's give you 3 strikes. If the police have to come to your home on a 3rd time for a domestic violence, your gun privileges are absolutely revoked. Absolutely revoked. We can't agree on that. Is that not reasonable? It is not natural for the cops to show up. The cops should never be at your home. That was one of the things my parents used to tell me. You better not ever bring the police to this house. I don't know why, but that was just something that was, if I ever see a policeman in this living room, boy, I'm going to knock those teeth right down your throat. But 3 times? Now, I don't know what multiple incidents are. I'm quoting KGT, but I would think multiple is more than 2. Several, I don't know. I don't know what the technical number is for several or a few or multiple, but it's more than 1. That's for sure. And the destroying of his own property and the multiple fights. And then he got a gun and shot her right in front of the children. So now they're orphans because he's going to prison. The mother's dead. The aunt's on television trying to get a GoFundMe account for therapy for these kids who witnessed. Can you imagine? I mean, it's one thing. Look at Freddie Freeman. How old is Freddie Freeman? Almost 40. He's still wearing long sleeves in Arizona when it's 110 degrees in tribute to his mother who died when he was 10 years old.
36.
He still breaks down in tears whenever he alludes to her because he lost her to a health situation. He's still screwed up about it. 36 years old. Can you imagine your father killing your mother? How that would screw you up? And then on top of it, you witnessed it? You were in the living room when your father shot down your mother? Man, there are not enough psychiatrists, clinical psychologists in the world that can erase that and make you whatever normal is. I can't comprehend how somebody who worked so hard and gone through all that family had gone through, raising kids, because I think the kids, they looked like they were like 7, 8, 9, 10, that kind of age, all the trouble of birth and raising these kids and getting them to that age and and the marriage and working so hard. He's got a boat, he's got cars, he's done all this, and you're just going to throw it away because you're mad at your wife? You can't just walk away? And how? There's just no defense, it seems to me. What does a woman like that do? You're going to tell this guy to get out? That's probably what happened. She probably told him to get the hell out. Leave. And he's like, have you lost your mind? You're going to tell me to leave my house? And what does she do at that point? If she has no relatives in this town, she's completely financially dependent on this man. And he's putting his hands on her. He's destroying property. I mean, they didn't see something really abnormal happening when a man takes a hammer to his own vehicles. That didn't set off. I'm not talking about the family. I'm talking about law enforcement. He is a danger not only to the entire family, but to himself. We can't take him into custody and give him some type of mental diversion. Why does it always have to wait for the most heinous of serious crime for authorities to get involved? I don't understand that. And I don't think it falls on the police. I think it falls on legislation. That it has to come from Sacramento, that we have to change the laws and put teeth in the laws that deal with men that don't act, I don't know what the word is, normal is not the word, but just act in accordance with society. If the police have to come to your house multiple times and you're destroying your property, there's an issue and you have to be removed from the house. And whether that's a mental diversion or whether that's 30 days in jail, but what does that do? Now he's even more angry. There's no rehabilitation if you throw him in the oozgal for a short period of time. He's going to come out more angry than he was when he went in. And who's he going to blame? You call the cops. You did this to me. I don't understand. I really, really don't. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Please stand by. Angela Barton posted our interview on Facebook. You sent her the audio, quite obviously.
I did. I got it to her right away.
Nicely done. She's posted it on Facebook. So you have another avenue if you don't want to go to YouTube, but feel free, you can go to YouTube and see it as well. But she was responsible for getting us Chad Bianco, who you'll hear in a couple of excerpts coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Let's go ahead and take a break. We'll check the board again, see what you're talking about. Also get into the case of Del Oro assistant band leader Salvador Fabian. He was in court yesterday as well, so we know more about that case. Special election going on in Tennessee. Kathy Abernathy tightened me up. In fact, she was right. I'm shocked. I used to live in Nashville. My sister was born in Nashville. That's where my dad went to med school. Meharry Medical College. And I thought for sure, because it's lined up easterly with Atlanta. If you go to Nashville, as we often did when I was matriculating at Morehouse, if you want to call it that. I was living in Atlanta. But you go straight up. That's why I assumed, because Nashville is on the east side of Tennessee and Memphis is on the west side. But it is just 2 hours ahead. So it's 6:45. So we've got a little more voting going on. Hoping that Matt Van Epps can hang on to that seat. Republicans a little bit nervous. Epps is going to win. Van Epps is going to win, but this should be kind of a shot across the bow to the Republican Party. There's work to be done before next November. There really is. Take a short time out. Come right back. It's TRBS on a Tuesday. Right here on Newstalk 96.1, AM 1180, KERN, where we stream live, kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180, KERN.
On the next Armstrong and Getty show, your weight loss drugs that are so hot are changing the economy in all sorts of ways. Not
The
just
Trump calls
food.
fat
Plus,
drugs.
Cell phone for a kid
I love
younger than
that.
12? Don't do it. Somebody put out a list called the 100 best TV episodes of the century. We'll have the top 10 and some clips. Won't that be fun? It'll be lots of fun. On the next Armstrong and Getty show.
Weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at radiodirect.com/privacy. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Text help for help. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications that are all over the news, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie, and if you qualify, you can get medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1s at 80 to 90% savings without insurance, all 100% online.
Wait, I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No long wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide and tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, for 80 to 90% less and shipped direct to your door.
Amazing. How do I get started?
Just send them a text.
Text SLIM to 797979 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic for 80 to 90% less, 100% online. Don't wait. Text SLIM to 797979 right now for your exclusive offer. Text SLIM to 797979. That's SLIM to 797979.
These statements and products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for weight loss.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore, and every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
At Audio Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Cyber Monday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Cyber Monday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
You've got your whole life ahead of you. So choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow.
You think he got
the
that
Medicare
client?
annual enrollment period ends December 7th.
He might have.
So go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage California can count on.
Need cash fast? Tap into the value of your home with a home equity line of credit from Valley Strong Credit Union. Whether it's for home improvements, debt consolidation, or that dream vacation, you can get your cash offer in minutes. That's right, just minutes to unlock the power of your home's equity with no hard credit pull to see how much cash you can get. No stress, no waiting, just smart local banking that puts you first. Grow your possibilities with Valley Strong Credit Union. Visit valleystrong.com to get started today.
You're listening to The Ralph Bailey Show. Catch me weekday morning 6 to 9 a.m. on First Look with Scott Cox, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Yep. Love is king, out in my heart. Your love is king. You look apart, your kisses rain. Round and round my head, touching the very heart of me. It's making my soul sing. And the very heart of me. Crying out for more, your love is king. Found you in my heart, your love is king. You do in my heart, your kisses sing. Round and round my head, touching the very thought of me. It's making my soul sing, crying out for more. Your love is king. Coming out. Coming. So Del Oro, assistant band chief, I should say former, Salvador Fabian was in court yesterday. And when that happens, court documents are available. And of course, KGT was down there looking at some of the court records. So we know more about his liaison with a 15-year-old because she talked to the police and discussed the two incidents in which they had sex. This guy's 26 years old. He's got a decent job at a high school. And not only is he willing, bye, Lisa. See you later. Not only is he willing to risk his career to have sex with a 15-year-old, but he did it in a car in the faculty parking lot. 26-year-old man having sex with a teenager at the job. Do you see how sick these people are? And this isn't the first time this has happened. Remember the Arvin guy that got convicted? It's where he had sex, right there in Arvin High School. Because you can't be seen with a 15-year-old. They can't come by your house. Can't check into a hotel. So they end up doing it on campus, in the backseat of a car, like you're 17 years old or in college or something. Because it's been done by many. But good God Almighty. And again, according to Megyn Kelly, that doesn't make him a pedophile. It would be like 11, 10 and under, according to her, which I think is nuts. A 15-year-old, what is that, a ninth grader? That's crazy. That's pedophilia by pure definition. And again, I'm not sure whether these guys select these jobs because, again, like Willie Sutton said, that's where the money is. That's why I rob banks. And that's why I work at a school, because that's where the teenagers are. I don't know. I don't think, and again, you know, when we get into these topics, what the hell do I know? Literally, what the hell do I know? But I just don't think that you're born like that, as opposed to being gay, where I do believe you're born either homosexual or heterosexual. I think with pedophilia, something occurs that screws you up in the head. Either you're a victim, or you saw something, or your sister was abused, or something snaps in your mind and you become that person. And that becomes the way you get off, to be blunt and ugly about it. I've always used the Cosby example. Bill Cosby was a fairly decent looking man, multimillionaire, one of the most popular African Americans, one of the most popular men in America. Could have had anybody he wanted. You really don't think that he could have talked his way into having sex with an assistant athletic director at Temple University? But he had to have him knocked out. That's what turned him on. That was his thing. That they were completely out and he could do whatever he wanted. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I'm not that smart. But these people, these pedophiles, are willing to roll the dice, not with a job. It's not like you get caught, you lose your job, and you can move on to another school district. No, this follows you. Your career is over. That guy in Arvin will never teach again in life. When they convict Mr. Fabian, he will never get a job at a school again. These people are willing to end their careers over sex. First of all, just over sex. Let's say it's with an adult, but it'll get you into trouble so that your career is over. Who among us is willing to roll the dice with our futures, with our careers, just to have sex? And then when you add on top of that, we're talking about having sex with a child, where if you have half a brain, you have to know you are destroying this child. you are contributing to her ending up on a pole or worse, becoming a prostitute, or just being mentally when she's 22 and realizes, what the hell did I do? Now, some girls, you know, it's not that big a deal. I'm not saying that every child that gets involved in something like this is mentally destroyed, but many of them are. Most of them are, I would assume. Again, that's why we're going to have Lauren Skidmore on tomorrow, get her opinion on these things, because I have no idea what I'm talking about. But it just goes to show that these guys are willing, and women, don't exclude women. How many times have we had stories of teachers, mostly out of Florida, it always seems, who are having sex with 14, 15-year-old kids? Now, I've always controversially, I think, said, maybe it's not controversially, I think there's a big difference between a woman having, a grown-ass adult woman having sex with a teenage boy and a grown-ass man having sex with a teenage girl. I think there is a distinction. I really do. I don't think it impacts, it should definitely be illegal. Don't think that I'm implying that somehow we should go easier on women that commit this crime than men. I just don't think it impacts a young boy in the manner in which it impacts a woman. Women and men look at sex completely different. Women are more intellectual about sex, more emotional about sex. Let's be blunt. For most men at some juncture, it's just an action. You know what I'm saying? It's not a mental and psychological commitment. It is just pure lust and fun. And to have someone older and wiser kind of walk you through it as a boy, one could argue, well, I'm not going to go that far. I'm not going to go that far. Be your mentor. I'm just saying. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Let's go to the 5. Cut that out, Chris. Cut it out.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Pete Peters in Washington. Pete Hegseth is defending a follow-up military strike on a suspected drug-carrying boat near Venezuela. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
During a cabinet meeting with President Trump, Hegseth said that he did not see survivors in the water after the initial strike was conducted in early September.
The thing was on fire. It was exploded and fire and smoke. You can't see anything. You got digital. This is called the fog of war.
Hegseth said he was not in the room when the second strike was launched, but he staunchly defended Navy Vice Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley's decision-making.
Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Lawmakers have announced congressional reviews of the U.S. military strikes. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The Trump administration is taking a hardline stance on Somalis in the United States.
Federal authorities are preparing an immigration enforcement operation in Minnesota, focusing on Somali immigrants living unlawfully in the United States. During a cabinet meeting, President Trump said that Somali immigrants are too reliant on the U.S. social safety net. Minnesota has the largest Somali community in the nation. Many fled the civil war in Somalia. The executive director of the Minnesota chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations says that around 95% of Somalis in Minnesota are U.S. citizens. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
A man accused of shooting 2 National Guard troops near the White House has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and assault charges. The Afghan national made his initial court appearance by video from a hospital bed for charges stemming from the shooting that killed Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and wounded Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 185 points, more at townhall.com.
The following is not an actor, but a real-life story from Trinity Debt Management.
My debt problem started probably about 2016. I needed my life to change financially. I called Trinity and I ended up joining based on high credit card bills and high interest rate. And my counselor at Trinity has been great, and Trinity has been helping me to get on the right path of paying off these credit card bills, bringing down the interest rate. They have consolidated my bills into one low monthly payment. And now I am finally getting out of credit card debt. So I just want to say thank you, Trinity, for showing me a better and greater path.
If you're in debt and you need help, call Trinity at 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Sharon, and soon I will be debt-free for keeps.
1-800-990-6976.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It wasn't a lot of customers, but here's why they lost power. I'm Chris Davis. The power outages were this morning before 6, but the crash that caused them will likely affect the area most of the day with the cleanup. That happened on Mohawk Street when a semi-truck ran off the road and hit two poles, putting the lights out for 32 customers, says PG&E. Now you can expect Mohawk between Walker Trail and Rosedale Highway to be closed much of the day while the electric company fixes the damage. The sex acts that police say happened between a former Del Oro High School assistant band teacher and a 15-year-old student happened in the parking lot, reports KGET, citing court documents. Salvador Fabian was arrested October 29th and has pleaded not guilty. According to those documents, he admitted to police that he and the girl had the relationship and admitted he knew she was 15. He will be in court again next week. Fabian is no longer employed at the school. The man who was shot and killed by officers with the California Highway Patrol after a pursuit on Highway 99 was being chased after violating a restraining order that his girlfriend had against him, say police. The girlfriend had come to the Wasco Police Department for safety, saying that he was after her. And he showed up there at the police station, then left before the whole pursuit began that ended with his death when officers say he got out and shot at them. No name has been released yet. Delano has a new mayor who will serve a one-year term. Last night, Councilmember Salvador Solorio Ruiz was elected as the new mayor by the council, and Councilmember Mario Nunez was elected mayor pro tem. Solorio Ruiz is a native of Delano and says his priorities are safety and making sure people have good opportunities. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN Newsroom with news every half hour or when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
What do you think? This is the Army where you shoot them a mile away? You got to get up close like this. Bing! You blow their brains all over your nice Ivy League suit.
It's the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Now make sure you leave the house when you make the call. You understand me? You hear me? Call from an outside line. I mean it.
Call in or text to 661-842-KERN. That's 661-842-5376. Listen live at KERNradio.com. Now, the host you've been waiting all day for. Live from the KERN studio, here's Ralph Bailey.
Final hour of the broadcast on a Tuesday, second day of December. It's TRBS, the Ralph Bailey Show. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We stream live at kernradio.com. Still lots to do in our final hour. You will hear in just a minute our interview from yesterday with the leading gubernatorial candidate, the most recent gubernatorial poll, Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco, and he was joined by our own sheriff, Donnie Youngblood. Hear from the two of them. Talk a little bit more about the Day of Giving. There's about an hour and a half left down at KGET, this Children's Miracle Network, Miracle on 34th Street, alluding to Memorial Hospital, where the small family in the name of their late daughter, Lauren, have absolutely flipped the script. I don't know how better to describe it in terms of our pediatric care and the millions of dollars that Kevin Small and his family have put forth to this effort. And it is truly amazing. That's why it's called the Children's Miracle Network, because the stories of some of these children that are born incredibly premature that literally 30, 35 years ago in this community would not have lived, would not have survived. No way in the world. And that's how far we've come in 3 decades in terms of children's care here. And there's no longer the need to, well, there still is on many occasions. That's why the Ronald McDonald House is so important, because there are still situations where families have to take their children to Madeira or to Los Angeles and to have the Ronald McDonald House there available for them where they can stay with their children and not have to be in a hotel or try to go back and forth and do all those things, has been another absolute game changer. And if you would like to contribute to the Children's Miracle Network on this day of giving, just call 336-0500, 336-0500, or text KGT 34984. And again, they'll be going on about 6:30, and you can watch at the conclusion of the 6 o'clock news tonight, where they unveil, much like the Jerry Lewis Marathon Telethon back in the day when we were all young. They unveil the final number where they raise tens of thousands of dollars. I think it's close to 12 million in the 3 decades, but it is an incredibly worthy cause and has been an absolute game changer for this community and pediatric care. 842-5376, 842-KERN. Yesterday, thanks to Angela Barton, we had the opportunity to talk with Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff, and one of the men leading in the race for governor, although it is incredibly early, obviously. But I don't know if you read the New York Times or the Los Angeles Times today. However, I'll read you an excerpt just in case you missed this article. And I cut out portions so I can't quote the author, which is irresponsible of me, but just know that it's from the LA Times. This is a column. I know, do the math. It's impossible to elect a Republican governor in this deep blue state, right? Wrong. Calculate again. And it's conceivable that a GOP candidate could replace termed out Democrat Governor Gavin Newsom. That would turn California upside down politically and be an upset for the ages. It's not at all likely, but contrary to common wisdom, it's within the realm of possibility. If too many ambitious Democrats leap into the race and keep running, then they could splinter the vote. There'd be too many Democratic candidates dividing up the party pie and ending up with small slices in the primary election. Just 2 Republicans could split the GOP vote. In that scenario, the Republican pair could both finish ahead of any Democrat. Remember, in California's open primary system, the 2 top vote getters advance to the November general election, regardless of their party affiliation, which is against what once was. Once in the state of California, there would be a Republican candidate and a Democratic candidate, and those 2 would go off in the general election. I'm beginning to like this manner. Because what are the chances of a Republican beating a Democrat in the state of California? But if it's just who goes to the general, and you have an open seat like this, and you get tons of Democrats, which we are about, because it's not until March. You got till March to jump in this race. Kamala Harris could reverse herself and jump in this race. But you've got so many Democrats that there's no question that they're going to split the vote. No other candidate is allowed on the ballot. And write-in candidates, no, not permitted. Not permitted. So it's remotely possible for 2 Republicans to exclusively compete for the California governorship next November with no way to elect a Democrat. Quote, given that there are so many Democrats running without name ID and no frontrunner, it's becoming more plausible, if still unlikely, says a Republican consultant, Rob Stutzman. Tony Quinn, a Republican political analyst, says that, quote, Democrats are taking a real chance with too many people running. It would be funny if they woke up the morning after the primary and 2 Republicans were in the runoff. They could do nothing about that. Even the California Supreme Court couldn't save them. As of this writing, there are 8 major, more or less, Democrats competing against one another. At least 2 others are also thinking about entering the race. Only 2 major Republicans are running. Let's review the core political stats. Of California's 23 million registered voters, roughly 45% are Democrats, 25% are Republicans, 23 are independents who tend to lean left, and another 7 are members of minor parties. I'm telling you, this could happen. Eric Swalwell is not that popular in the state of California, even among Democrats. He's still got that Chinese spy affair kind of just lingering over his head. He's had ethics problems the whole time he's been in Congress. The current breakdown is Chad Bianco leading at 13%, Katie Porter plummeting at 11%, Steve Hilton and Xavier Becerra tied for 3rd at 8%. If we get 10 candidates, 10 Democrats, they could eat up a lot of the vote amongst themselves, and Hilton and Bianco could walk away with 30% of the vote each, 26, 25%. That's half the vote. And the other 10 Democrats eat up the other 50%. That could easily, conceivably happen. Going to wait for my producer to return and then introduce you to some audio. Here is, from yesterday's interview, Riverside County Sheriff, and again, the leading candidate, Chad Bianco, explaining why he's running for governor.
All we have to do is walk outside. We know that California is broken, and it's not just broken to where things are going wrong. It's almost an emergency, a catastrophe in every different realm. And California is in absolute need of not only someone that can handle emergencies, but someone with the integrity and the leadership ability to actually get it done. And when you look at, especially when I was deciding to do this, when I looked at the list of people that were signing up to be our next governor, that's the last people we needed. It's the same names, the same faces of the people that put us here to begin with. And the last thing that Californians need right now is another politician, another millionaire, another billionaire, someone else coming in, telling us, a career politician, telling us what we need to know or what we need to do, how we need to behave, how much more money we need to give them. We just need someone that's actually looking out for Californians. And I think that's why the polls are showing what they're showing is Californians realize that I offer them that opportunity.
One of the things the Democrats have stumbled staggeringly, haphazardly into is that word. You know what that word is. What's that word, Chris, in politics right now? The A word.
Sorry, with the
A word.
The A word.
Affordability.
Affordability. Oh, okay.
Affordability. We've got to talk money because it's doable. And where do you start, in my opinion? If I'm his campaign manager, affordability, high-speed rail. That the most recently successful governor of 2 terms, Gavin Newsom, is still tripling down on this. You attack him on one of the most absurd, just ridiculous boondoggles in the history of this country. And you talk about bringing down prices. This Abtine Bean, who's challenging Matt Van Epps in Tennessee, she's going to lose. But she's scaring the crap out of Republicans because that's a district that Trump won by 22 points. It was 61-38. Kamala got destroyed. And yet a Republican in that district is fighting for his life tonight. If we didn't learn anything as Republicans from New Jersey and Virginia, we've got to learn that we've got to talk about affordability. We've got to talk about Joe Biden's 9.1% inflation. And that's the reason that everything is costing so much. And that it's our responsibility as Republicans to bring that back. He's got to talk about that. The second thing I think Bianco's got to do is he's got to take a page out of Steve Garvey's book. You know what I'm saying? He's got to take a page out of Steve Garvey's book, just like this. He's got to take a page out of Garvey's book and his campaign. Let me show you, for those that are subscribing. Take a page out of Garvey's book, right like that, and tear it up! Because Steve Garvey should have been living in the Central Valley. How many times did you see Garvey when he was running for Senate? How many times did he come to Bakersfield? 7, 8, 9, what? Twice? Maybe 3 times? Are you kidding me? It's like looking for fruit and not coming to the Central Valley. Are you going crazy? Now, it's way early, and I hope his people are listening, or I hope they know this, and I hope he's here. He's got to be here every month. Every month I'd be in the Central Valley. I'd come to Bakersfield, Visalia, Fresno, bang, 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 bang. What Garvey did not do. You got to preach to the choir. And then you go after the independents. And good luck getting the Democrats. You don't have to worry about the Democrats. There are going to be 10 candidates, none of whom can distinguish themselves from the other. Katie Porter's done. Eric Swalwell's not beloved. What do you think? They're going to vote for Xavier Becerra? What percentage of the... How many of you can even tell me what Xavier Becerra did or does? He's got no name recognition. He's going to top out at about 10, 12, just like Antonio Villaraigosa, who'll top out at about 8. You got Tony Thurman, the black superintendent of schools. What, you think he's going to get 10, 12%? Really? Really? And they ain't going anywhere. This is an open seat that could go to anybody with 44% undecided. All the Democrats, there could be a dozen Democrats. And if a liberal newspaper and writer in the Los Angeles Times is telling you that Hilton and Bianco could be on top, that ain't Ralph Bailey talking. That ain't a Republican talking. That is a liberal Democrat who is saying there's just not that big a pie. And we've got 45% of the vote being split. And you're assuming that Bianco is going to get the majority of the remaining Republican vote. He's already been endorsed, he told us yesterday, by the American Independent Party. There is a chance. There really is. This is as close as we've come to winning a statewide election since 2006 when Arnold Schwarzenegger did it. Let's go ahead and take a break. We come back, you'll hear more from Chad Bianco. You hear Sheriff Donnie Youngblood as well. Then at the bottom of the hour, we'll get back to our day of giving. Talk a little bit more about pediatric care. I've got some other miscellaneous news and notes. Do you have a real ID? Because if you don't, you got about 2 months to do so. Because you can fly with your old license. It just takes a little bit longer. And now, in about 2 months, it's going to be a little more expensive. I'll explain at the bottom of the hour. And I got some other miscellaneous news and notes to get to. We'll wrap this thing up on this cold Tuesday night. 23 days. Quick time out. We're coming right back. It's TRBS. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. We're streaming live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Start your day right. First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m.
On the Wednesday edition of the First Look program, first of all, no Dr. Dev, because fun fact, he's in Africa. We will have John Cox from the California. We will have state-of-the-art news and traffic and, yes, weather. It's all happening 6 to 9 a.m. right here at News Talk 96.1, and we're streaming live on a worldwide website, kernradio.com.
First Look with Scott Cox, 6 to 9 a.m. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at radiodirect.com/privacy. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Text help for help. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications that are all over the news, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie, and if you qualify, you can get medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1s at 80 to 90% savings without insurance, all 100% online.
Wait, I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No long wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide and tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, for 80 to 90% less and shipped direct to your door.
Amazing. How do I get started?
Just send them a text.
Text SLIM to 797979 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic for 80 to 90% less, 100% online. Don't wait. Text SLIM to 797979 right now for your exclusive offer. Text SLIM to 797979. That's SLIM to 797979.
These statements and products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for weight loss.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost, month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-274-5104 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-274-5104. That's 800-274-5104. What do you have to lose? Call 800-274-5104. Again, 800-274-5104.
Are you looking for a hospital that truly cares for your health and well-being? At Good Samaritan Hospital, they provide high-quality medical detox, psychiatric services, and medical and surgical care. They accept most insurances, including Medi-Cal, Medicare, and Kern Family. They offer Kern County's longest-standing inpatient detox program with dual diagnosis that combines medical care and withdrawal management all under one roof. Learn more at GoodSamaritanHospital.com or call 661-215-7500. Good Samaritan Hospital. They care for their community.
It's a winter wonderland of sweets at DeWars. See the spectacular twinkling Christmas lights and enjoy festive decorations and hot chocolate from November 3rd through January 5th. Treat your family to handmade candies and holiday ice cream flavors. Write your letters to Santa starting November 29th, every Saturday and Sunday from 4 to 8 p.m. until Christmas. Snap photos and make memories that will melt your heart, just like our ice cream. DeWars, where Christmas fun, light, and sweetness comes to life. Only at DeWars, 2700 Callaway Drive.
I'm JR Flores. Catch my show, The JR Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
Running wild. Eight 842-537-6842 KER. We're talking about our interview yesterday with Riverside County Sheriff Chad Bianco. Here is more from our discussion.
I hope that we can do something about the supermajority, but I'm not going to count on it. If it's, I'd like it to be a lot closer to equal. That's how government is supposed to run. But just having a Republican in the governor's office is going to do a lot to force the Democrat supermajority that they are actually going to have to govern. It's not going to be the vacuum that they live in. They're not going to live in their little bubble where they just approve every wild idea that they get. They're going to have to work on both sides of the aisle to make sure that all Californians are taken care of. And that's truly what I will make them do. I will hold them accountable. I will hold them accountable in the public realm. Everyone will know which politician is there for themselves and not for Californians. And I think that that's their biggest fear, is that they are going to be held accountable, because a politician's biggest fear is they don't get elected and reelected. And if I'm having press conferences every day telling Californians who are the people that are working for them and who are the people working against them, that's going to do a lot to force them to actually have to operate like government is supposed to operate.
Kathy Abernathy, as you may have heard on Monday, not quite as optimistic. She seemed, in my opinion, very, I don't know what the word is, kind of apathetic about this gubernatorial race, to be honest with you, because she believes, and you can make a really good argument, that even if Hilton or Bianco gets elected, you are up against that supermajority that the sheriff alluded to. But he seems to believe that he can shame these people into cooperating. Not very realistic, but if he's sincere about holding press conferences constantly and trying to highlight the issues, who knows? Who knows? Sheriff Donnie Youngblood joined the conversation as well. Let's hear from the sheriff.
I know a lot about Chad, but I can't tell you because it'd get him in trouble. And, I met Chad when he first got elected as sheriff, and we had a conversation for about 2 minutes. And I told him, I said, I know more about you already than I knew about your predecessor, which was really telling. Very open, very honest, sometimes brutally honest, and that's really what we need.
Yeah.
And, I posted some pictures on social media the last 3 or 4 days, and one of them was with Chad Bianco. It got 3 or 4 times as many likes as any other picture I posted. Kind of offended me, but that's beside the point.
Well, that's good
It's just a couple of good-looking guys, Donnie.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be an uphill battle. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but I think that this Times reporter has stumbled staggeringly, haphazardly into a fact. With that many Democrats trying to vie for 45% of the vote, you could easily water this thing down, because you've got to believe that Swalwell and Porter will be the leading candidates. Becerra will get a nice chunk. All depends if Rick Caruso gets in. He'd get a significant chunk. And then the Viragosas, the Tony Thurmans, the billionaire, I forget his name, Steyer. They're all single digits, baby. And that's all killing the top Democratic candidates.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
With us on the news, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Trump administration says it will withhold funds for administering SNAP food aid in most Democratic-controlled states starting next week, unless they provide data about those receiving the assistance. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said Tuesday that the action is looming because those states are refusing to provide requested information about the recipients, including their names and immigration status. A man accused of shooting 2 National Guard troops near the White House has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder and assault charges. Ramanella Lakhanwal made his initial court appearance by video from a hospital bed for charges stemming from the November 26 shooting that killed Specialist Sarah Beckstrom and wounded Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf. More details at srnnews.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
The man who was shot and killed in an incident with the California Highway Patrol on Highway 99 early Monday was in violation of a restraining order and was after his girlfriend, say police reports. He showed up at the Wasco police station where the girlfriend had gone to get away from him before the pursuit that ended with his death. When California lawmakers get back to Sacramento after their break in January, they will immediately start work on how to try and fix the state's financial problems. That includes an $18 billion deficit for the coming year and a $35 billion deficit for several years after. you may be able to serve the community. Bakersfield is looking to fill several positions on boards, committees, and commissions, and that info is on the city Facebook page. I'm Chris Davis in the KERN newsroom with news every half hour of when it breaks on FM 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
It's that man again, Ralph Bailey for Adaptive Networks. Are you a business owner who feel that your IT company just treats you just like another ticket number? Well, at Adaptive Networks, exceptional customer service isn't just a promise. It's how they do business every single day. And when you call, you're actually talking to a real person who knows your name, understands your business, and genuinely cares about solving your problems. No phone trees, no runaround, no attitude. From the moment you become a client, you'll experience the difference that comes from working with a company that puts customer service first. And no one knows that better than the folks here at American General Media, because we've teamed up with Adaptive Networks. Ready to experience IT support the way it should be? Call Adaptive Networks at 661-241-0638 or visit adaptive-net.com today. Adaptive Networks, where great technology meets even greater customer service.
Wednesday edition Clay Travis Buck Sexton show will break down the absolute latest on everything surrounding Venezuela as tension appears to grow there. Plus Buck.
Taking a look at the administration's focus on immigration going into the end of the year. A lot of talk, a lot of policy. That's coming up on Clay and Buck.
The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show, live 9 to noon. News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. The Charlie Kirk Show, weekdays at 6 p.m. on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the
Can see. Can they see my address?
No, not that small.
Which means they can't see the gold, the difference between the two IDs?
Probably not as clearly as you would want them to.
Probably, damn right. You can see a difference. God, I hate this donut. I really do. About 10 pounds in the picture. But I do have the golden bear and the little star in the right-hand corner, which means I can travel. You can travel with the old license. It's just going to take you about a half an hour longer than it would normally. But now, if you don't get the real ID by February, how much do you think it's going to cost you? Do you know the story?
I do not.
So how much do you think they're going to fine you if you show up in March without the deadline is February?
I'm gonna throw out a figure that I hope is the right number, but I know it's wrong.
You always go high. You always go high.
I was gonna say $50.
That's pretty close. 45 bones.
Oh, okay.
45 bones. Don't you know that in this era of travel, there are going to be some blows thrown? There are going to be some, I'm telling you, when it first hits, and these people that aren't somehow engaged and don't read newspapers and don't watch the news, and they're going to show up to go to grandma's house for Easter break or whatever in the spring, and they're told, sorry, we need 45 more bucks, they gonna be mad. What do you mean $45? You don't have the real ID. So 45 bones, can't get on the plane. They're gonna be, man, I'm telling you, I watch it. It's part of my reels. What's the word I'm looking for? Algorithm.
Oh yeah.
And I see it. There's just such, Sean Duffy, the transportation secretary, another competent member of the Trump cabinet, talks about it. Now, his solution is we dress better and that would cause more civility. I got to be honest, I remember the days in the 70s, whenever we would go to Atlanta, that I would wear a suit. My parents made me wear a suit. I had 3 suits when I was growing up. Always had 3 suits, depending on how old I was. My mother believed you should have at least 3 suits. And she would make me wear a suit. Never had to wear a tie, but hard shoes and a shirt. That's just the way it was back in those days. When you get off the tarmac, and our grandparents, my uncle would be like at a fence, and you'd walk down the steps, and you'd actually be on the tarmac and had to walk. They didn't have what do they call it? Jet walks?
Jetways? No.
The jetways? Is that the jetway? Yeah. Didn't have those back in the early mid-70s. You literally, even at LAX, I walked on the tarmac at LAX. In fact, I walked on the tarmac at LAX as late as the mid-90s. I got offered a gig in Tyler, Texas, and was on the tarmac for that flight. I'll never forget that. I was like, man, I thought they got rid of this. And it was bizarre walking on the tarmac at LAX. But yeah, 45 bones if you don't get the real ID. So, and if you're 60 plus, as I discovered, absolutely free. It's the only good thing about being old. They give you a couple of breaks. Absolutely free. I didn't pay a dime. And it took me like literally 15 minutes. Literally. Thought it was going to take forever. And I ran into Kevin Burton that day, as a matter of fact, right? I went to the one, and that's why I thought it was going to take so long, because I was going to go to Shafter, as everybody says, or what's the other one by the old golf go-kart place? What is that, Select? Yeah. It was. I used to go to the Select one, but everybody says go out to Shafter. But I went up the street from my house. I just walked up F Street, and 15 minutes, bing, bang, bong, and it didn't cost me a nickel. The only good thing about being old. 842-5376, 842-KERN. What do you got?
Hey, Ralph, it's a tragic story all around regarding the recent events of this local mom who lost her life at the hand of her children's father. I do not trust Sacramento to make it make sense, though. Sacramento would deem our ability to own guns outright illegal, but teeth need to be there.
I mean, we could get a compromise, maybe a suspension of your gun rights for a year, and mandatory anger management classes. There are just some things that are way beyond my comprehension. I don't know how to solve it because I don't understand it. And I don't understand how a man could put his hands on a woman. And believe me, I'm no saint. I've told you the story of Kimberly Michelle Williams, the young, beautiful, long-legged track star that lived out in South Pasadena. You've heard me allude to that because there were a couple of incidents happened when I would drive out to this Tony, very, very, very affluent neighborhood in my little Chevy Chevette. And we were at my house one day, and she smacked the crap out of me legally. I don't know about back in those days in the 80s, but I'm pretty sure I could have had her arrested. I was laying on the couch. Kim was in the kitchen, and we were arguing. You got to remember, I broke up with a girlfriend to date Kim, and Kim was aware of that. And Kim would show up at my job because I worked with the girl that I dated, Ralph Bailey. What do you want to do? And I can even add to that, if you haven't heard the story already, she was our assistant managing editor's daughter. What are you going to do, Ralph Bailey? And he hated me. Well, he liked me until I started dating his daughter. Then he hated me. And I was such a cad. Do you know I would have her look for me when I would come pick her up and come run down. I wasn't bad enough that I was like, Gina, get down here. But I would say, I'm going to be there at 7:15. Be looking for me and come downstairs. I do not want to run into your father. And she'd be cool. And of course, that only exacerbated the problem. You know what I'm saying? Because I was such a coward that I wouldn't go to the door and at least face the man. You know what I'm saying? Because if that happened to my daughter, I'd be like, get your butt, sit right there and let him knock on the door and come get you. Anyway, so Kim would show up at our job and all of a sudden get all into PDA because she knew Sheena was there and she knew the situation, and it would cause all kind of drama. And so one day I'm laying on the couch and she's in the kitchen, and I said something to the effect, well, Sheena wouldn't do that. Why? Just, that's why I'm a bad arguer. Because I go for the nuts. I really do. Either the nuts or the jugular. Sheena wouldn't. Just, I know what button to push to really piss people off. She comes, I'm laying down like this, and she comes and smacks the crap out of me in my ear. And I get up and I grab her by the arm and I go, what's the matter with you? You going crazy? And threw her on the couch. And she had these marks on her arms. That's jailable, Jack. That's jailable. If she calls the cops and they see that I had grasped her so hard and she says that I threw her on the couch, my butt is in LA County. But she's a black woman, and she was like, I'm not going to call the cops, because I knew exactly what I had done immediately. And I was like, please, Sheena, Kim, please don't call the police. Please, I'm sorry. I lost my head, but you did strike me. And she said, oh, I'm not going to call the cops. I'm not going to call my cops. I'm going to call my daddy. I was like, that's even worse. The point is, I can't conceive me pulling my hand back and striking her. I just can't. And I think if you're to that point that you can do that, even though I just said I have no idea what I'm talking about, I think you're capable of anything. I think the rules have to end right there. And when this guy, this Manuel Robles, 37 years old, fairly successful, has a beautiful home, got a big old boat in the driveway, a couple of beautiful cars, willing to throw his life away, and then to do it in front of his children? Really? Isn't that some sort of, I don't know what to, I can't even describe it. I don't know what that is. I don't know how you do that. How do you knowingly throw your life away and commit such a crime, not only in front of your children, but in front of witnesses? How do you knowingly just say, my life is over and so is yours? And if I can't have you, maybe she was leaving him. Maybe it's, if I can't have you, nobody can. I'm willing to die because I'm not going to be, I have no freaking clue. I really don't. But again, tomorrow at 5, we're going to talk with Lawrence Skidmore, the executive director of the Open Door Network. What's for dinner tonight?
I have leftovers.
From what?
Last night, I cooked chicken.
You cooked chicken?
Yeah.
How did you cook chicken?
I mean, I grilled it, but...
On a barbecue?
No, indoor.
An indoor grill?
Yeah. Like, you know,
like a hibachi?
No, like a George Foreman kind of a thing.
Ah. I got rid of my George. I don't know why.
I love mine. It's not.
I used to do everything. I used to do steaks on my George.
Mm.
I didn't have a problem with that. People laughed at me. Man, I don't know why I got rid of my George. Oh, I know why.
Is a cleanliness thing?
Kinda, yes.
Kinda. Oh, Lord.
I went through a period about 7 years ago where I had Tom and Jerry in my house.
Ah. How'd you get Tom in the house? Jerry, I get. He gets in through the walls, but how does Tom get in?
Oh, that's right. Tom was the cat, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I had Jerry.
Okay.
And Mickey. I had 2. And like I had mice when I lived in the Northeast. Not the first time I've ever had mice, particularly living across the street from Subway. I figured at some point we'd probably get mice, but they normally would stay on the ground. These two were up on my counters. And they left like droppings in my George.
Ah, gotcha.
And I was like, no, okay, no, that's enough of that. Ugh, it just gives me. I mean, they had droppings like on my counter. Oh, dude, it was. Ask Randy and JR. I was like, man, I'm this close to checking into a hotel. And you know what did it? You know, I got rid of them.
Snap traps?
No. The glue.
Ah, glue traps. Yeah.
Those glue traps are money.
Yeah, they are.
Money.
Although if you don't get to them quick enough, they do bite off their own appendages to get out if they can.
Well, what are you gonna not check it for a couple of days? Are you kidding me?
Some people
I checked it I would.
Sometimes they do it quick though. That's what I'm saying. It's like if you don't get to them quick, like.
Oh God, it was a horrible period. And I literally put them in because they were still alive. I caught them both. They were still alive. I'm such a freak. This is a true story. You want to know how weird I am? So I catch these two mice on separate days, and on both days, I went across the street and put it in their dumps because they were still alive. So I was like, what if they get loose? What if they somehow do what you just said and chew their leg off and come back and visit me? I crossed the street and put it in their dumpster, in their apartment. That's how bizarre a human being I am. Why I confessed I had mice in my house. And that was the other thing. I don't know whether it was with you or it was with JR. It must have been with JR. Because I didn't see him at first. I just saw the droppings. And so I thought I had rats. And then we went to Fresno. And you know that booth? I know I've been in that booth with you.
Yeah.
And you know that booth? And it's filled with rat doo-doo. And I was like, oh, cool. I ain't got rats. Because that's like, that looks human. Rat feces, a lot different than mice feces, as I found in the booth. At what is that? What was that?
San Joaquin?
That's exactly where it was. San Joaquin. But yeah, that was an awful week and a half. Oh God, gives me goosebumps just think about it. Why I'm volunteering information like this? See how I vomit for you people? Let you inside my filthy apartment. But it's not any longer. Lovely Lydia, my savior. Quick timeout, final break of the night. The Charlie Kirk Show coming up at the top of the hour. Tomorrow, we're going to talk with Nicole Alvarez from Bakersfield College. They've got an immersion program she's going to tell you all about. And as I mentioned, Lauren Skidmore, Executive Director of an Open Door Network. We'll talk more about Manuel Robles, the man alleged to have shot down his wife in front of his children in their home. Quick break, coming right back. Wrap this thing up. It's TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN, where we stream live at kernradio.com.
News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN.
On the next Armstrong and Getty show, your weight loss drugs that are so hot are changing the economy in all sorts of ways, not just food. Plus, cell phone for a kid younger than 12, don't do it.
Somebody put out a list called the 100 best TV episodes of the century. We'll have the top 10 and some clips. Won't that be fun? It'll be lots of fun. On the next Armstrong and Getty.
Ready whenever you are.
Ready? 3, 2. Mike Van Epps, the Republican, should win that 7th district special election in Tennessee. But this should be a shot across the bow to the party because Trump carried that district by 22 points. And even if Van Epps is going to win, he's going to narrowly win. That should be a huge warning. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's Wednesday, so Howard Marcus will join us as per usual. And we'll also talk with Nicole Alvarez from Bakersfield College and the executive director of the Open Door Network, Lauren Skidmore. All that and me at 3. It's TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. I'll see you at 3. Should I do that again? Should I do that again? I kind of tripped a little bit.
It's up to you.
Yeah, let me do that one more time. 3, 2. It's that man again. Look what's coming up on the Wednesday TRBS. Well, it's Wednesday. Former federal agent Howard Marcus will join us. We'll also talk with Nicole Alvarez from Bakersfield College and the executive director of the Open Door Network, Lauren Skidmore. All that and me at 3. TRBS, News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KRN. I'll see you at 3. Much better. Much, much better.
For recurring automated text marketing messages, message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out. Text help for help. Consult the doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
You've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications that are all over the news, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. And if you qualify, you can get medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1s at 80 to 90% savings without insurance, all 100% online.
Wait, I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No long wait at the doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide and tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, for 80 to 90% less and shipped direct to your door.
Amazing. How do I get started?
Just send them a text.
Text SLIM to 797979 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic for 80 to 90% less, 100% online. Don't wait. Text SLIM to 797979 right now for your exclusive offer. Text SLIM to 797979. That's SLIM to 797979.
These statements and products have not been evaluated or approved by the FDA for weight loss.
The Armstrong and Getty Show, weekdays noon to 2 on News Talk 96.1 and AM 1180 KERN. Now, back to the Ralph Bailey Show.
So far removed, mild and icy through. Have you checked out 50 Cent's doc on Sean P. Diddy Combs?
I have not seen this.
Dropped
yet.
last night. Randy said he saw there are 4 episodes. He said he's gone through 2.
Really?
I haven't checked it out yet. I'm still.
I want to. I have so many things I need to watch.
That's what I'm saying. I got to get caught up on Landman. I just shelled out $12.99 a month for Paramount, and I'm still stuck on the 3rd episode of the 1st season. And I think they're now going into the 3rd episode of the 2nd season. By the way, what's his name does die. Don Draper, what's his name?
Don Draper. Oh,
what's his name? Don Draper and John Hamm. John Hamm. John Hamm.
Yeah, there you go.
John Hamm. He dies. I'm pretty sure. Doesn't he, y'all? Don't tell me. I'll find out. Don't tell me. I'm pretty sure he dies, though. Because Demi Moore in season 2, just from the trailers that I've seen, now runs the company. And she was his wife. Why you would kill off John Hamm, I don't know. You know what John Hamm's best role was? Beyond Don Draper. And I don't know why they don't do like a 70s version of what was the name of that damn show?
White Collar?
No. What was the name of Don Draper?
Mad Men?
Mad Men. Why don't they do a 70s version? Make him like 50. Just put a little gray because his hair has gone gray. But you know what his best role is? As the FBI agent in The Town. Have you ever seen The Town?
Yeah, the Ben
With
Affleck
Jeremy
movie.
Renner and Ben Affleck. That is a great picture where they are bank robbers, and it's based not on specific guys, but there were problems in South Boston of these hoodlums robbing banks and just whacking the damn armored car drivers and just killing these guys. And so it's kind of loosely based on factual events in the South Boston area. And John Hamm plays the FBI agent who tries to sniff it out. And it's got a great ending. You remember the ending?
I vaguely do. My favorite scene of the movie is the only one I know for sure.
Which is what?
That's when Ben Affleck walks in, Jeremy Renner's on the couch, and he's like, I need your help. We need to go beat somebody up. You can't ask me any questions.
And then let me give the line. Go ahead.
It's like, you can't ask any questions and just know we're going to hurt somebody. And then Jeremy Renner just looks
up. Let me give you the line.
Jeremy just looks up and says,
"Are you driving?"
Exactly. I love that scene. It is like that's like the bro friendship that every man has always wanted.
Yeah.
You can't ask me any questions. Just get in the car with me. We got to go handle some stuff.
Am I driving or you are driving?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
That is pretty cool.
Those two together are just like they do very, very well together. They have great chemistry on television.
Yeah. It's that's a really good picture. And Hamm, I hated Hamm because I was rooting. See, I'm like Quentin Tarantino. I was rooting for the bad guys. You know what I'm saying? When the fat guy in the ambulance gets killed, I was all bummed. And just and Hamm is such a prick in the film.
He plays the cop though.
Exactly. And he plays a hard-nosed cop who's roughing these guys up, and he's absolutely determined to stop these bank robberies. And it's got a really good ending. I could ruin it for you. You want me to ruin it for you? No, I won't do it. I won't do it. Want to thank Teresa Goldner, mighty kind of her, on her vacation in New York City to stay in contact with us. And I'm pretty sure we're talking with her again next week. And again, tomorrow, Howard Marcus, Nicole Alvarez from Bakersfield College, and Lauren Skidmore from the Open Door Network. And whatever else happens before 3:05 tomorrow afternoon. In the meantime, for Chris Burdick, I'm Ralph Bailey. That's what's really going on. Wrap to you tomorrow.
This is AM 1180 KERN Green Acres. This is 96.1 FM Bakersfield. Online at KERNradio.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The Trump administration says it will hold snap from Democrat-led states if they don't provide data on recipients.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins says the action is in the works because those states are refusing to provide requested information about the recipients, including their names and immigration status, and that states should comply to help root out fraud in the program. Experts say that while there certainly is fraud in a $100 billion a year program, that the bigger problem is perpetrated by organized crime. About 42 million lower-income Americans rely on SNAP to help buy groceries. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
War Secretary Pete Hegseth says he watched the initial military strike against a suspected drug smuggling boat in September, but was not in the room when the second strike was launched.
A couple of hours later, I learned that commander had made which he had the complete authority to do, and by the way, Admiral Bradley made the correct decision to ultimately sink the boat and eliminate the threat.
Hegseth is citing the fog of war and defending a follow-up strike on an alleged drug-carrying boat in the Caribbean Sea in early September. Lawmakers have opened investigations into the incident. Talks between Russia and the U.S. on ending the nearly 4-year war in Ukraine were constructive, but much work remains. Yuri Ushakov, a senior advisor to President Vladimir Putin, spoke to reporters on Wednesday after a lengthy session at the Kremlin. Putin met President Trump's envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner as part of a renewed push by the Trump administration to broker a peace deal. Both sides agreed not to disclose the substance of the talks. More on these stories at townhall.com.
So right now may be the perfect time for you to rethink how you pay for health care. And here's why. This time of year is decision time for a lot of people, but it's also when you can join MediShare and save even more than usual. For many families, joining MediShare means saving about $500 a month, which is a game changer for a lot of people. More than 1 million people are part of healthcare sharing now because it just makes so much sense right now. And MediShare is the gold standard. Members like it a lot. We know this from member surveys. MediShare has been around for over 30 years. It is a proven thing. And if you join before December 15th and you mention the promo code SHARE, they'll waive your application fee. So you save $100 right off the bat. I'll give you the number here in a second, but just call. You'll get a price within 2 minutes. And again, the deadline's December 15th. Call now. You'll save even more. Here's the number. It's 844-41-BIBLE. That's 844-41-BIBLE. 844-41-BIBLE.
From the KERN Newsroom, your live and local news update.